With the fish with majestic hate sent the quango stumbling through a garden gate. Papers flying like bureaucratic snow while the crowd yelled, "That's the greatest show!" Slap! One final glorious smack. The bass did a flip then vanished back. The harbor went still. No one made a sound. And the whole dang pier broke laughing down. Now every year they all return to watch ceremonial paperwork burn. And they raise a toast by the old boat ramp to the fish who kept the quangos down. Once more, like a scaling missile from the ocean floor. Slap! Another one right on the cheek. The quango cried, "This violates policy." Townfolk laughing, dropping their drinks while the boss kept launching from the briny depths. The mayor arrived with the megaphone, said, "Please remain calm near the danger zone." But the fish ignored every lawful plea, like a wet torpedo fueled by spite and glee. A woman yelled, "That fish got aim!" A child shouted, "Do it again!" The quango tried hiding behind a crate, but destiny swims and it don't run late. He waved around forms in a desperate panic, screaming jargon that sounded volcanic. Subsection B says fish can't strike. The boss jumped higher like, "Watch me, mighty." Slap! With the fish on the quango's brow, folks were chanting, "Get him now!" Backflip splash with Olympic grace, then another wet smack right across the face. Like a haddock powered train, you could hear it echo halfway down the bay. Tourists filming, seagulls cheering, the quango's confidence disappearing. Was it revenge for polluted streams? Was it vengeance born from bureaucratic schemes? Did the fish just hate authority? Nobody solved that mystery. But legends say when the tide rolls in, you can still hear the distant fins. And somewhere near the old pier shack, a quango flinches at every splash. Here comes the boss. Here comes the trout. Everybody scatter when the fish jumps out, out, out. Left cheek, right cheek. Public administration growing weak. He tried a helmet. He tried a net. That angry fish ain't finished yet. With the fish with majestic hate sent the quango stumbling through a garden gate. Papers flying like bureaucratic snow while the crowd yelled, "That's the great."
Hello, everyone. Hello. 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 Is everyone there? Hello, everyone. Hello. I am Trauma Tuna, and this is the Fishmonger's Hideout. I'm in the Fishmonger's Hideout, rather. And today we're running a very special episode, a very different episode, different from the usual format. We are running a podcast today, and I am greeted with our very special friend here next to me, DevilnRed. Devil, tell us what you're about.
Greetings, I am DevilnRed, and currently I have been doing some moderation for Cinevere. Day job, I had sold guns, and before that, I retired out of the Marine Corps. And I figured, why not give streaming a chance as well?
Shoot, there you go. Yeah, and I am, as I mentioned before, I'm Trauma Tuna. I am a weekend streamer. I stream only on the weekends, just as a hobby for fun. I usually stream games. Both retro and recent, sometimes a little bit even modern, but more of a variety sometimes. So like we're seeing here. So we are going to go ahead, get into some fun topics today. One of them, I believe, is just about how video games nowadays are just becoming sloppy, just real game slop. Content's not really there. Or it's empty, or there's just too big, no direction in anything. Story's not really fleshed out very well, things like that. And then we are going to go over some one-liners. I think we can definitely read those. Let me see here. Let me get some of those.
Also, didn't you want to go after the social media aspect as well? Something about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let me take a look here. Okay, so one of the things we have here is, especially for me, I am on social media as well, around Twitter. I do have a Twitter there. You can find all my information on that as well. You can find me there. I stream on Kick, YouTube, and Twitch as well. But there are some really fun social media drama going on, especially with some friends of mine as well. Llama Todd is one of them. He got, I don't know, Devil, if you know about this. He definitely was involved in, the Final Fantasy 14 space, and how a lot of the fandom there has just become very, very Quango-like, as a lot of people like to say, very Quango-like and very.
Yeah, they ran me off Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah,
so
did they? Yeah.
I know exactly. Yes.
Oh my gosh, what'd they do?
They found out that I had conservative beliefs, and for some reason that became a problem as to why I can't go into raids, even though I did not talk politically. And they just thought that that was a bad thing, as well as also I was stalked by several people while I was in that, and it actually had nothing to do with political beliefs. It's just they liked my character, so they would follow me and take screen caps. And in that game, when you hear the screen cap, it makes a loud Japanese shutter click noise. That was very creepy. Yes.
That's weird. So you're just walking around, all of a sudden you hear that, and you're just like, what the heck?
Yes. And some were so blatant, they would just walk up right to the front of my character and just screen cap, which is like, okay, it's a game character, but why?
Right. That's a mistake.
And I was playing a male character too, so
yeah.
And
what, a male character in a Japanese game? Ugh.
I know, right?
Cringy.
But and then what was it? The bard policing also was another problem, because I actually like to go to cities and then use the bard tuner and play just random bard music, and then people were going, "Oh, you can't do that because it's copyrighted music," or some other bull crap. And I was hounded for weeks on end from an asshole that would not leave me alone, even though the actual moderators of the game did nothing about it, whether they were to stop me or to get that individual to leave me alone. So that was another reason why I'd left.
That is so dumb.
I know.
That is so dumb. What the heck? So basically, from what I'm understanding, basically the entire environment and culture there is conform to our ideas, or we're gonna force you out. And I'm guaranteeing you this. And Llama Todd, cool guy by the way, definitely has been a victim of that. He's been doxxed. He's been, by those people who are on Final Fantasy 14 and everything like that. He's been harassed by people for him being a stroke victim and everything like that. Crazy enough, it was really stupid. And he's like, dude, there are more people in that game who are conservative, who are too afraid to speak out without being harassed or threatened. or anything like that. And it's just disgusting. It's just disgusting the kind of people that would just act like that, think they can just go in, take over a space, and then just
I got to see it happen real time too. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
because it was when it was one of the times after what was a Battle of Azeroth released, everybody got mad, and I was also one of the ones that said, "Okay, screw this," and then fled over to Final Fantasy XIV, which a friend of mine played for a while, joined his guild, and then it was fine, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a new group of people started joining in, and I guess it was all the ones that didn't like Azeroth as well. And unfortunately, they met up with the other Troons inside the Final Fantasy XIV square and took that over. So unfortunately, the minority of people that were causing problems in World of Warcraft decided to also continue causing problems in Final Fantasy XIV, and they stayed there because the characters looked prettier. And usually it was just a couple of people here and there that you'd run into, and you just leave them alone because they were the ERPers, and they would actually have that in their little title tag or a guild tag or something like that, and you'd be like, okay, that's not where I'm going, and you knew who they were, what servers they stayed on, and you just didn't make a character on those servers. And unfortunately, they just grew like a cancer.
Yeah, that's
and
rough.
Then it's just like, yeah, you could have your own little space, your own guild hall, your own transmogs and all that, and be fine. And people just left you alone, and then it just turned into an absolute debacle. And then Sony, of course, pandered to the loud minority because they're the new influxes. You have to make the new influxes happy, and then they started dumbing down some of the gameplay, and then they added in all of the extra cosmetics, which, I mean, cosmetics sell, you make money, cheap, easy, great profit. Sure. And unfortunately, it just continued to downward spiral, and the game just wasn't what it was, and it started becoming less of a game experience and more of a Reddit experience 3.0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just really dumb. Like everything just turns. Here's the thing: everything turns into Reddit one way or another. Everything just turns into that. It's just really gross.
In February, I tried to rejoin it, and it was not any better.
Yeah. Well, I heard the new update they're putting out, I think, is gonna like help curtail some of that, or like put in some content, or at least some some mechanics in there that's gonna kind of put a stop to some of the behavior of some of these people in Final Fantasy and everything like that. So I don't know if WoW is lost. I'll just consider like that's just gone. Like, let's not forget the floating wheelchair that has wheels.
Not just WoW, Destiny as well. Did you see that news as well?
Gosh,
Destiny.
Yeah, oh, man. I heard about that. Yeah, literally.
Sad violin.
Sony, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my gosh, Marathon is literally just bleeding the money, and so they decided, all right, we'll just shut down Destiny 2 then. Wait, what? Why? Why Destiny 2? They're not the one, like, is that making them just enough to stay afloat? And they decided we're just going to cut that one loose. Just shut Destiny down.
Not sure on that one, but they did acquire that game way more than what it was worth, because they did have a really big billboard. They had a really good track record, and they showed the entirety of the earnings and the track record of the players and the counts, and they kind of glossed over the failures that they started introducing with the final shape. And unfortunately, the quote, go woke, go broke started happening, and then it just continued to spiral from there. They didn't write characters with any kind of good personality. The voice actors were very lackluster on certain aspects of the game. And it turned into, some characters definitely seem like self-inserts of very mundane people. And that's not what you play games for.
Right. Yeah, you play games to escape. You play games to relax. You don't play games to be reminded that you live in a hellhole.
Yes,
know.
and then they added in the pay shop features, which of course, like, oh yes, we'll keep the game afloat by cramming more stuff into the store
Right.
because it worked for Fallout 76.
Right. Worked for Fallout 76. Yeah.
And it
Okay.
just seems
So
like
go ahead.
I'm about to say it just seems like they don't pay attention to what their competition's doing anymore and repeat the same mistakes, which
I know.
you'd think businesses wouldn't do that.
Right. It's you should look at the environment that the market's currently heading in, or at least what's being generated from that environment, and probably try to emulate that in your own corner. You know, but they don't do that. So it's whatever. I do want to offer a little bit of correction here. Bungie isn't shutting down Destiny 2. What they're doing is that they're winding down live service support, which essentially would technically be shutting it down, but they're not like shutting down the service. They're the servers rather. They're just saying, all right, this is the last.
Yeah, they're not
This is
cold
like the last
turkeying
big
it.
push we're putting for it.
They've just got it standing on the gallows with the rope around its neck.
Right. Exactly.
And
Waiting
then
to pull the lever.
Yeah, then you've got the guy beside him going first time to Sony. That meme straight up.
Yeah.
It's Xbox.
Mm-hmm. What a mess. What a mess. The industry's a mess. Oh, man. All right. Well, let me find a good one-liner to give you. Come on. Probably should just read it in their normal voices, or should we just character up a little bit?
It's up to you how you want to do that. Just throw that in the chat and I'll read it.
Sure.
Whether through the DM or through the backyards chat here.
Oh, here's a fun one. That's one from Inheritance of the Layers. Okay. Napoleon Dynamite. Remember Pedro's character? They went to, he did the class president thing. He's like, vote for me and all your wildest dreams will come true.
Vote for me and all of your wildest dreams will come true. In all honesty, I skipped Napoleon Dynamite, so I know of several of the meme quotes, but not actually have watched the movie.
Not the movie.
I tried and just walked out on it.
I can understand why. I mean, that kind of humor for me, I would just sit there and watch it. I thought it was funny, but then there's I remember the scene of him and his brother, I think, talking on the phone. And one thing I noticed is every time the brother that's back at the house is talking with Napoleon over the phone, he keeps looking back at the plate of like cheese and stuff. And every single time it cuts back to him looking, there's like different amounts of cheese. It's not even like sequential order of different amounts. It's just random amounts of cheese on the plate. So it just made me laugh when I saw that. I was like, okay, that's funny. He's just looking back, huge pile. Cuts back to Napoleon, cuts back to brother, looking back at the plate, small pile. It's just funny. Let's see. Let me see here. Definitely not going to read that one. Let me find this one. Well, that's funny. There are only two things I can't stand in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch. Austin Powers and Gold member.
About the same.
That's where that came from. Nigel Powers is Michael Caine's character.
Oh, okay. So how did that one go again? There's only two things.
There are only two things there are only two things I can't stand in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
No, so there are only two things I can't stand in this world: people who are intolerant of other people's cultures. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
Yes.
Nice.
That's good.
Then
we find one more here, and we'll continue on. Let's see. Oh. All right, this one's a little bit more recent. By the way, our son Hezekiah hates us because he knows we're both closeted, but we're trying to make it work for him, but he's not happy. And yeah, guess what? The deacon's fucking the evangelist, man. He's fucking the evangelist. Oh my god, that's Josie and Bottoms.
So that's more of a paragraph than a one-liner.
Yeah, that's not a one-liner at all. What the heck? You lied to me. Not you. Let's see. Yeah, these are one-liners. These are like whole lines.
No, like old school Duke Nukem. I'm here to chew ass and kick gum, and I'm all out of gum.
There you go.
Like Duke Nukem. That's a one-liner.
Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Yeah, the Duke Nukem one-liners. Let me get those pulled up.
If it smells like tuna, it's either a fish or a woman.
That hurt my feelings, man. I don't know how to feel about that. Totally kidding. This is the wrong Duke Nukem. We need a classic one.
Done.
It's the Duke Nukem 3D one. That's actually probably the one that people are familiar with.
Don't worry, Duke Nukem's all classic now.
It's all classic now. There he goes. There it is. Your classic line. It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum. So there it is. There it is.
Good.
There we go.
It's time
there we go.
to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of gum.
There we go. There it is. All right. So let's move on to this next topic here. I think what we want to cover here real quick, or not even real quick, we can go over everything here about this. There's a couple of articles, Devil, that you submitted here. The first one was from Massively Overpowered. How long should it take MMO players to get to end game? So let me go ahead.
Are you able to bring that up?
Yeah, let me see if I can get that brought up here real quick. Give me 2 moments here.
And that leads in from what we're talking about with what happened with Final Fantasy 14.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. All right.
I'm not seeing it on the stream.
No, it's fine. It's giving me a minute here. This will be. There it is. That's not what I wanted. Man, you'd think this would show up better. Hold on. It's because I was hitting the wrong thing.
Well, say you streamed it to Discord. You're supposed to stream it to the stream.
Yeah, it shouldn't be streaming there at all. I even saw it earlier. Where'd it go?
If I would have known I would have to wait forever, I would have brought popcorn.
All right. There we are.
Oh, you're streaming it on your... You've picked the wrong input for...
I did. But I got it pulled up here now. So let me go ahead.
We have lost the tuna.
We lost me.
He has killed himself.
Me. I'm dead now. Let me go ahead and kill it here. Let me go ahead and kill it here. There we go. There you go. Scuff. We know how to do it. All right, let me.
All right, we've got it up now.
Perfect. We can do it this way. There we go. Okay, that's better. All right, so massively overthinking. How long should it take MMO players to get to the end game? I'm going to read through some of this or most of this here, and then get your opinion on it, and then get my point as well. So we'll start here.
Yes.
With the Throne and Liberty's latest global underway, I wanted to point back to something Amazon said about the test for our massively overthinking discussion this week. Amazon said it dropped the level block for the test and it would be boosting players so they could explore the early mid game and also begin participating in end game content. We're assuming the boosts are huge. Indeed, as otherwise there'd be no way anyone but the craziest of testers could possibly get there in a week. And incidentally, if that's you, please make sure you're being paid. Blah 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 blah. So that got me thinking how much time the modern MMORPG gamer does think is a reasonable amount of time to invest in the game before actually getting into whatever the game considers its end game. Let's overthink it. How long should the MMO players get to end game? How much time are you expecting to sink before getting there? Are MMOs devalued by quick trips to end games, or are we just fooling ourselves that all this matters at all? So this is a good question. This is a good thing. This is something I have been giving some serious thought to for this past few days. MMORPGs, in my personal opinion, are on the way out. Not because the content, the lack of like content or anything like that. It's just I think the kind of art audience that they're targeting is starting to like, hate to say it, they're starting to get a little bit older. You know, some of these people are actually starting to like have serious jobs or focus on other things, families. Have to have their time devoted to something else. So it's not that they're.
I would say that is a part of it, but that's not the entirety of it, because you can get new players. Mm-hmm. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up on this article was the players that they're bringing in versus the players that are leaving the space have two completely different mindsets, because originally the players that started these games, that started with WoW and did the Final Fantasy game for MMOs, they started out younger as well, and they didn't have the Zoomer TikTok instant gratification mentality. It was a concentration willing to learn the game, not the game given to you to play. Yep. So people actually invested the ability to play the game versus you have to be able to pick it up and drop it at a moment's notice. And that has led to people going through, let's play this game, speed run it, and then the game's over, versus play the game to enjoy it, because those are completely two different mentalities. And it has actually infected both older and newer players, where they end up taking, instead of having their sweet time playing the game, leveling, doing quests, they rush to the end of the game, because apparently with leveling up, you obviously have to rush to the final level, and the strongest level has the strongest gear. And that's not always so on MMOs, because people didn't realize how that was with World of Warcraft, where there was no end game when it first came out. It took forever to level up. And that was your investment, was leveling up to end game before they started adding stuff like BlackRock and the raids that came afterward for like Onyxia and the Nazarick and all them were added on later, when they had enough time to come up with a thought process as to what do players do when they get to the end of the leveling content. Right, and exactly. That mentality is not there. Now it's like we have to, the game is over when you get to the end and stop playing it, is now the mentality, versus the older MMO is when you play the game, this is your second life off screen, or not off the real world, and being able to enjoy yourself being who you aren't in a fantasy land.
Right. Exactly. That's pretty much what, like that's the mindset that's going on nowadays with the younger generations, that are just more so about getting something done more so than experiencing what's in front of them. And that can be good for some things, but for gaming, I don't think that's the right mentality to have, unless, the game is designed that way. And even then, designing a game that way, to me, still is a bad idea. Some people, like
for Tekken or Mortal Kombat, picking up the game, running some rounds, and dropping it, and then picking it up 3 weeks later, that's the game design. You can do that. Yeah. For an MMO, that's terrible. Exactly. And they started trying to do that with Destiny, and they were doing that with World of Warcraft as well. And Final Fantasy made it to where, well, you can pay to skip the game, which I have my qualms with. And it's just like, oh God, why? Why did you make the game if you're going to pay to skip it? And then you end up with companies that buy out games and put them on a infinite deathbed loop until they stop making money, like what happened with Black Desert Online, where the company that buys those style games will immediately make any kind of cosmetics and costumes to keep it on life support until people stop paying for it because there's nothing to do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. Super Bonk, that works. That's a good formula for Super Bonk. Pick it up, do the thing, drop it, do whatever that's in your life. Pick it up 3 weeks later. It's still the same game. There's no updates that have been made to it. Yeah, exactly.
Great game for those formulas, but bad for an MMO.
Exactly. You don't do that. You don't be like, all right, I'm going to pick up this game. I'm going to get to level 10 and then stop that and then work on my degree for a month or two, come back to the game, and then I've missed out on an update or a big patch or an event, or, I missed out on my dailies and stuff like that. Like it's really bad. Let me go ahead and continue with the article here. The first blog response is from Brianna Royce, probably. Y'all know me. I don't even like the concept of endgame. I think it's the worst thing that ever happened to MMORPGs. She agrees with you, Devil. And I said so 10 years ago. And if you're thinking, but Bree, all MMOs have an endgame, rather, then you probably haven't played anything before WoW, because they most definitely do not. That said, even Ultima Online offered progression goals that are at least parallel to something like the way people think about endgame. There was no arc like level up and then you can do elite raids or anything like that. But you could certainly max out chosen set of skills, hunt for better gear, and test yourself against harder dungeons alone instead of groups. And yet, maxing out some of those skills could take years, especially things like taming and provocation. I didn't pick those out of a hat. Those are two skills I never got to 120 myself after many, many long years. In fact, even if I ignore the idea that you can't really finish a character in a sandbox like that, it still takes longer to come close than it ever did in a theme park. Yeah. So what she's saying here, from what I'm understanding, is really dedicating something to the classic MMORPG formula, really dedicating your time to that, especially with certain skill sets, is going to take you a long time. It's going to require you to grind. It's going to require you to experience the game in its entirety for you to get to certain levels and to get to certain skill sets, or to upgrade certain skill sets.
That was also something I was going to say on the grinding part. If you have an MMO, one of the original World of Warcraft creators for Vanilla Warcraft, when people were complaining that it's really hard to level up, the guy asked, "Did you pick up quest?" And the individual they were talking with was like, "No, I'm just killing animals." Well, you get crap for just randomly slaughtering mobs. You need to quest. This is a quest-based game. So that's why you pick up 10 quests, do 10 quests, always be questing, and you will level up that way, and you will also enjoy the story. And yes, having an end game is necessary for an MMO, because if you get to the end of the game, there's nothing to do, and you don't start a new character, you're just going to have that player drop off, and then that's just going to be the end of that. But right, you at least need to have time to implement something.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty much what she was going on about, or at least in this part of it. But she also did say earlier in her response, like, end games are a bad idea.
I do disagree with her on that. That end games shouldn't be the main focus.
Right. Yeah, and that's the issue, is that they're being the main focus instead of like just being added on later. I remember, I think Ultima, it was EverQuest Online. That's what it was. They kind of released that game without an end game before they finally worked on that and put that into place. And the same thing with World of Warcraft. They pretty much put a game out that did not have an end game planned out for a little while, at least. And then they started working on the expansions, quest lines, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it makes sense to push out content first before putting a cap on it. So let's see, continuing with what she was saying, similarly, while it took me a few months to get back into Star Wars Galaxies, by the way, I did try getting back into Star Wars Galaxies. That was one of the first MMOs I played, and I was like that particular MMO is more focused on role playing in like building your role and developing your character more so than actually like quest lines or completing quests or
Hmm.
even like furthering the plot. It's more so about like you as the character, which I
Yeah.
was like, I kind of just like, I I'd rather play a game where I'm kind of well established and I just build up on that instead of just okay, here you go, have at it, you know. But anyway, continue back. Let's get back into Star Wars Galaxies. It took me a few hours to cap my tune, but a year to really get my chef business off the ground again, and quite a bit more to get to a state where I was happy with it, just because of the resource acquisition involved. In sandboxes, if endgame ever really arrives, it usually means you're done with the game. Sandboxes just stay mid game forever, which is why I love them. As for the theme park, I suspect most MMOs can be maxed in a few weeks of no lifing, but even just for normal folks, maybe 2 to 6 months. And on a scale of WoW to Lord of the Rings Online, it's probably going to take a while. So overall, Brianna's response, how would you, what would you make a point to, what would you point out in her response?
Well, there are some things that she is. What was it? Some of the things I would disagree about with the games not having an end game are best for MMOs. I honestly do think that is wrong. They need to have some form of end game because when you complete the journey of the trial, you need to be able to use the power you have gained and feel powerful. That is part of that.
Right.
And when it comes to the whole part of if it's an MMO sandbox, which would be something like Elite Dangerous, that is an MMO sandbox. You are
Mm-hmm.
in a universe that is continuing to run. You are not the hero. You are just a random person doing random things. You make your own story, and people love that. And then you've got the ones where you are the main story, which is what World of Warcraft turned into, because you go from average nobody that you find in a gutter to somebody that's leading a save the world rally. That style of MMO, you can't really leave as a sandbox. But if you have, say, like Star Wars Galaxies, you could end up going to you are some random trooper, you are some random Joe in the backwoods, and you are participating like mercenary style in combat in wherever theater. And there, where there is two humans, there will always be somebody fighting each other. That's
Right.
just how it goes. So you have an excuse to not do. I am now the god of the Sith Lord and now control the Republic and all this other crap. You don't even have to do that.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you could end up just having giant in game for you is being the really strong person on a battle over a planet, and that could be like the in game style on that.
Yeah.
And they just have to also deal with the new groups that they don't want to play as the weakling. They want to skip straight to instant gratification of, well, I can skip all this by paying whatever skip fee like in Final Fantasy 14, and you end up with max level, or you skip that whole content that you air quotes didn't want to play. And I'd understand that for a player that has leveled up 4 or 5 characters and you're just like, not this crap again. You just want a different class and you don't want to do it. And you just say, screw it. Here's $15. I'll skip this content for the 7th and 8th character because I already know it and don't want to deal with it. I get nothing for it. And I can get closer to what I need to use this character for rating or something like that. But that shouldn't be allowable access until they at least got a character that has beaten those parts of the game, because then why did they ever come out with those parts of the game if everybody just skips it?
Exactly.
They did that for Terra. Like straight up, they just got it now after Terra got bought out by the same company that bought out Black Desert Online, and they put it on life support. You skip all of the beautiful creations of the game designers and just go straight for some rating in-game crap. Same with Rift, which was made by a bunch of people that branched off from World of Warcraft, that those developers got kind of tired of Blizzard, and they got bought out by that same company as well. And they have the instant gratification raid where you just join a queue from level 1, and it puts you at a whatever PowerPoint and gear and equipment to play the raid, no matter who's what level and what gear you're at, and you can beat the raid. And it's just like you skip the entire game and you're just stuck in instant adventure and you miss the entire game.
Right.
And it's like, what's the point of that?
It's like, why bother? Why bother like building a game for people to experience if that's what you're going to do?
Yeah.
If that's what you're going to implement into the game itself, it's like, well, you know, just do this. I'm like, no. Give them the resources and the reason why they should go through the game in order to get. And the reason why they should go through the game is to get to this. Is to get to the raids. Is to be able to compete in the raids. Be able to do the arena style stuff. Be able to do those things. It's not just let's go adventuring. You know. So like you said before. So yeah, I agree with that. One of the things she points out is people who would be able to max out characters and stuff in a few weeks of no lifing. That is definitely one of those. That is one of those things that people would do. That there are people out there who are just going to play MMOs, and make that just their entire day's agenda. You know, they'll do that for weeks on a time, and I've seen that. I've done that when I was much younger and didn't have so many responsibilities. So
yes,
but you know, I've grown up. I've gotten older. I have a family now. I do things. I have a job. Like I got life. Life is happening. I can't. You know,
and
I can't just sit down.
Fine balance in your game design to have stuff for the no-lifers and the ones with lives, but you can't make the game just for the weekend warriors and ignore the people that have chances to play it like 3 or 4 times a week, or if they just, you know, live terminally online. You still need to have some aspect of the game for them. They're going to get through the content faster, but then you also have to realize that they might not be all of your players, and you shouldn't just be like, oh, the ones that sped run the entirety of the leveling system just to get to end game. Well, they're just going to have to either make a new character or wait. And then they start complaining, and it's just like, I understand at some point you just got to go, yeah, you skipped the game. How about you go play it?
Right.
And make sure that you actually have a game to play before you say that, though. Because there's some game developers, as we've seen recently, will get on a high horse when they have a pony.
Concord. Yeah. High Guard, yes. That's what it was.
Yes.
I couldn't remember. That's funny. I could not remember. That's literally how unimpactful this game was. I couldn't even remember the game that got shut down earlier in May. The name of it. Yes. And it was High Guard. It just came back to me. That's literally how little of an impact that game has made. It was forgotten in weeks. That's, oh my gosh. What a boondoggle.
A year from now, we'll be like, what was that game's name? And we won't even remember.
It's like, what was Concord 3 again? I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even get me started on Reloaded either. All right, so that was their first person's response. There's a few more responses here in this article. The second one here is Carlo Lucina, Ultra Mudkip EX on YouTube and Twitch. I say 15 hours. If it's more than that, it's rude. I don't care how good the game is after 300 hours. That's still 300 hours. I'm getting carpal tunnel just thinking about the amount of effort it takes to get to the end game in any MMO. The path to end game is such a slog between unskippable cutscenes, running to the next NPC, and mind-numbing combat encounters. There are far better and more games to play with time, with the time in MMOs just to get this started in the end game. What is that?
Zoomer.
Yeah. Zoomer. That's who this guy is. It's like, I don't have time for this. I was like, what do you have time for? I say 15 hours. If 15 hours is what it takes for you to get to the end game of an MMO, that's not an MMO, dude. That's just a story with a bunch of people that can join in. What is 300 hours? I'm getting carpal tunnel just thinking about the amount of effort it takes to get to end game in any MMO. I guess I get the feeling this person doesn't like him. What is that?
I said the guy hasn't even played a JRPG if it takes 15 hours to get to the end game.
Good Lord.
My God.
I haven't played a JRPG, and I really don't think it should take. I don't think it should take 15 hours. I think it should take at least 40 or 80 even. Like look at Crimson Desert. Look at Crimson Desert. This I would say that's a JRPG, but it has like Western RPG influence.
That's a Korean one, yes.
Korean, yeah.
Which is even more abusive than the Japanese ones. A lot more abusive.
Absolutely. It literally takes, how long is the tutorial in that game? Like I think it's
people are saying you have to get through 8 hours before you can actually start playing the game.
Exactly. You have to do an 8-hour tutorial before you can actually start playing through the game and leveling up your character to be able to get into the Crimson Desert itself. And that's just the main storyline itself is between like 50 and 80 hours. That's a Korean RPG. That's a Japanese or an Eastern RPG. I mean,
yeah,
so this guy complaining
Korean RPG, yeah,
Korean RPG. There you go. So this guy complaining about, it doesn't need to be that long. I'm like, you're missing out on context and story, which is important for the game and the reason why you should be playing the game and
or at least
the motivator for completing it. So, yeah, what do you think?
Unfortunately, it is individuals like this one as to why the MMO sphere has turned into what it has, where it's, oh, here's a costume event. Here is the Zoomer mentality of always jingling keys in front of you. So what about this one little story in this village that you went to? You don't give a shit about the NPCs. You're just going to skip them. And then, on to the next town because I've out-leveled this one. And all these old quests that I don't feel like finishing dropped. And then you just move on and then you don't care. And you never go back to that part of the map ever again. Even if you're just like, hey, I wonder what was back over here. I hadn't been over here in 5 days. And they don't care. They'll finally get to the in-game city. And this individual, I could see as one of the people sitting in town just talking on the trade channel in Warcraft. That's it. They would be in the general chat in the city towns just talking, and they won't be playing the game. And then they would complain that there's no game to play. I can see that as this individual.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. This guy would be like, I maxed out all my characters on Super Bonk. Anyway, no, I agree with that. This is a person who is not going to be who isn't giving himself the opportunity to experience the game in its entirety, and because TikTok brain rot is just prominent in his brain. But let's continue with what he's saying. I get that devs want to appeal to the lowest common denominator. Okay. But if you all want to rip me out of the games I've been playing for well over 10 years now, the freaking game better blow my mind and have me participating in the tough, fun stuff in 15 hours. The current paradigm involving forcing a player through a mid-tier fantasy story and then opening up the game after so long shouldn't be the way.
He's the reason why Raid Finder exists. This individual, when they added Dungeon Finder and Raid Finder into World of Warcraft, I knew this was the beginning of the downfall of that franchise. Straight up. When they added Dungeon Finder and Raid Finder, when you could instant queue, and then you could pick your class, and then you could queue as the class that you're not in, and be like, oh, I can queue as a tank, but I'm DPS or a warrior. And it's just like, no, you're DPS, and you just don't want to wait that long. And then you don't change into an actual tank spec, and then everybody gets mad at you because you're a piece of shit, and they know exactly what you're doing. Or the Shadow Priest that's doing DPS that queued as a healer, and it's just like, you can't heal that way. What the hell are you doing? And it's the shortcut crowd. And I get it that something did kind of need to be done with the Dungeon Finder thing, but they didn't make people go out to a dungeon stone next to a dungeon and be able to queue up that way. You could just sit in the city in safety and not care, and just sit there and wait for a queue to pop and then instantly go in, so you didn't traverse the world. You weren't on a PvP server and could possibly get killed going out to a dungeon, which was part of the challenge and fun.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. it's just really funny. I think this generation, especially with Gen Alpha and Gen Z, the drive to find the fastest, or the path of least resistance when it comes to like
Speedrunners.
problem solving. Yeah, speedrunning is a big one, especially with problem solving, and just in general here, just generally talking, like because the brain is there's a bias towards finding the path of least resistance when it comes to tasks and things like this, and these
Oh yeah, that's
people
normal.
had that hijacked. Like that's been hijacked for them, so that's all they want to do. That's instant gratification. That's all these things. So yeah, seeing this is just kind of like, dude, you don't get it. Going through the grind, going through the dailies, going through experiencing the game in its entirety, having to walk your way from your starting point into the city, that in itself is the adventure. It really is the journey. It's not the destination. Um, and that's what makes the game. It's not the destination, it's the journey of it. It's getting there.
At least in this style of game, yes.
Yeah. In the style of like World of Warcraft or Ultima Online or Star Wars, the
Yeah.
the idea is that you are on the journey. It's not that you're going to finish it. Let me see here. Okay. And to continue with what he's saying, and you know what else? Props to Riot for giving its Runeterra MMO more time to let it improve and find it ways to make it less like other MMORPGs. More games should take time to actually change up things. I'm willing to wait, but I doubt any other MMO will take me away from my old standbys. Well, brother, I guess MMOs aren't. You're not the target audience then. What?
I'm about to say, is he talking like he's playing MMOs, or is he talking like he plays other games and is waiting for an MMO to be like the other games he plays?
This guy wants an MMO to be like what's like Fortnite or something? Like, what is this? I want a Fortnite MMO. That's what this guy's saying.
That could be a genre if you did it right. I mean, that's what Fortnite was for. And it was not really an MMO. It did have a world story based like an MMO, but you got it in glimpses. So that's like the Zoomer MMO. And even that's winding down because you can only do that for so long. And unfortunately, the Zoomer brain even got bored of Fortnite style MMO there, because you go through like the new asteroid events or the superhero event or the ninja event, and they start adding more sections and maps, and they have their own little story. Or now it's like the streamers are entering this like the digital world freaking reboot event. And it's just like, well, no, the reboot of the show Reboot was terrible. And that's what they're doing. And now people are shying away from that too. And it's unfortunate that catering to individuals like that guy right there with Carlo is what is killing the old school MMOs. And that's why they're slowly crumbling. Some quicker than others.
Yeah. I think the push for relevancy here was really a big killer of this kind of genre. I really don't think MMORPGs needed to do anything to change much or do much to make any changes, because the formula worked. The formula worked. I don't really think you needed to fix it.
Wrath of the Lich King was the #1 hit for World of Warcraft in player increased activity as well as accounts being made. Yeah. Like straight up. It had story, it had playability, and it was fun to quest through. They did introduce, however, a complication they should have fixed with zoning, where unfortunately, depending on where you were in the story, you may never see somebody you're partied up with. And they should have made it to where you get zoned into the guy that had the least amount of quests done, not, oh, you're in your own little world because this section of the map blew up on this guy's screen, but this guy never went to that story, so the section of the map is still fine. And the NPCs you talk to aren't dead. Well, they didn't do that, and that was the beginning of the end on that part, where they started separating the player base from each other as they're trying to quest through the game.
Right. Yeah.
But they didn't fix it, and they kind of doubled down with the panda one, and that became like a bigger issue, and you saw the stagnation in the Mist of Pandaria. because people were like, I can't play with my friends when leveling because they haven't gone through an area I have, and I won't be able to zone in with them. Because I remember constantly complaining about the zoning problem.
Yeah, that's really dumb. I didn't realize that they did that and started doing that with Wrath of the Lich King. What was what was the fourth expansion? Because no, it wasn't Wrath. It was what was it?
I remember it was the Burning Crusade, the Wrath of the Lich King, Mist of Pandaria, and then I think Battle for Azeroth came off after that.
Okay, I thought Mist of Pandaria was the fifth one, unless that's Battle for Azeroth.
Because they had the original, and then Burning Crusade came out after the original. Because I joined at the last 3 months before Burning Crusade hit, all those years ago.
Yeah,
and then Burning Crusade ended up with it was the island one. They did add another one after the panda one. It's the one where you went underwater.
Yes,
I forgot which expansion that one's called.
I forgot the name of that one too, but I know what you're talking about. That one. And like I said before, like I said earlier, I've gotten into MMOs. I've tried getting into MMOs. WoW was one of the ones that I tried getting into, especially with Burning Crusade. But I'm going to be that guy and be like, I'm not the target audience for those. I can definitely understand the appeal, though. I can see the appeal. I understand the appeal. I get it.
It just wasn't your game, and
it's just not my game. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, this guy is definitely not helping out with with trying to set up a target audience for MMOs nowadays. He's definitely not helping in that regard, at least when it comes to formulating how a game should be played out. The game he wants
to play is not an MMO.
Yeah, exactly. Like he wants MMOs to play, not MMOs.
Yeah, he wants to play like a Call of Duty, Fortnite, friggin' multi-shooter or something with minimal story and instant gratification of congrats, you're the hero.
This guy wants a steak well done and juicy.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. All right. The next person is Chris Neal, Wolf's Eyes. This was his response to the question. While there's certainly plenty to be said about that length of time being situational from game to game, and also nodding in general agreement with the sentiment that there shouldn't really be an end game, I'm going to approach this answer from the point of view of how most MMORPGs run, particularly theme parks, and say that end game should be reached after at least 30 to 40 hours or so. Maybe it depends on what the MMO is. Like if it was Wrath of the Lich King, people sunk weeks and weeks and weeks of their time into that one. I remember seeing my brothers play it. I don't think they got to the end game of Wrath of the Lich King until like a month later or something like that. Or it may have been like they didn't release the end game for that expansion until later. I don't remember exactly. But
yeah, they didn't do the Arthas battle till way later.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with the 30 to 40 hours, depending on how you play, 30 to 40 hours, like for the weekend warrior, that's a long time. But for somebody that's going to be playing the game 3 to 4 times a week or no lifing it and playing it all day, every day, 30 to 40 hours will be done in 1 week.
Yeah.
And generally, like, I understand trying to play balanced gameplay for time-wise versus getting to the end of it. And at some point, you have to make sure it's not too grindy, but it has to be grindy enough to where you'll bitch about it, and it's going to be annoying, but you can get through it, versus you look at the wall and just go, you know what? I'm just going to walk away from this one. And that is something that the developers of a game have to figure out. And that is definitely something that they can learn through their player base numbers, through the complaints, through actual player habits that they record from in-game, and see how that goes and adjust from there, because you can see complaints are a symptom, not the cause of the complaint. And then sometimes the players won't know what they're complaining about, and then the actual developers will make an adjustment based off what they think the complaints are stemming from, and then the complaints skyrocket.
Yeah.
And with that, the other part of that is things like that not having in-game and people speed running through is the reason why Amazon's The New World failed, besides like bug problems and stuff like that, because everybody sped through the game. They were playing the Zoomer mentality of get to in-game, what's in-game raid, and they didn't remember with all of the original MMOs that were released back in the 2000s with World of Warcraft and with Final Fantasy 14 and Final Fantasy 11, you didn't have an in-game yet because they just released it, because they were looking at how older MMOs went to where, okay, we're establishing how to do this, throw the leveling system, game, and areas, and get that in the world. Build the world first, and then build the I am now powerful in this world content. Everybody decided to play how they were playing new characters in an old game, like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, where they've already played through the story. They've already know like every part of the aspect. Let's speed run it. And sure, there's some guilds that want to do world first and they'll speed run everything because they want the world first achievements or stuff like that. In all honesty, they would have been better off not having any achievements for the first 3 months, if they had any at all, because I never, unfortunately, played New World because I had other games that I were playing that I just wasn't interested in New World. And I just saw my friend play it, and he goes, yeah, I love this game. This game's great, because he played it like he was playing the other MMOs, where you played through and interacted with the story, the characters, you did the quest and the map zones, and you leveled at a leisurely pace. And he played it like 4 or 5 times a week after work, and he'd play it like 3 to 4 hours at a time, and he was enjoying the game immensely. And then he would see everybody speed past him and freaking, oh, I got to get to the end of the game, end of the game. The end of the game is a cliff. They haven't made it yet. They were hoping that the players would overall play the game, enjoy the story that they built, because I guarantee you some poor lore writer is just crying because everybody skipped everything that they put in, didn't read anything. They just followed, quest says do this. And unfortunately, like, the original World of Warcraft required you to read the quest to find out what the hell you were doing. It didn't just go say, collect 10 chicken eggs.
Right.
And that even got simplified, which I can understand that, where they did simplify that somewhere. It actually gives you, this is your quest, but then they added into, this is your questing area, and it highlighted on the map where, well, you need to be here to do it, instead of players have to figure out, well, where is this area I have to collect this crap at? And it started slowly simplifying like that. It's like adding the yellow tape to all climbable surfaces in the game.
Right.
Like, that didn't exist before.
No,
and
it didn't.
They slowly dumbed it down to doing that. And the lack of thought process caused people to just go, you know what, we'll just skip through all this and go directly to where the quest marker goes and says to slay these things or collect these items, and then come back and be like, okay, done, next. And it's a checkbox for them. It's not a game.
Right, exactly.
It's not an MMO.
It's a task list. It's a task list. It's not an experience. Yeah, that's the kind of critical thinking and what's I'm looking for. The attention to detail that's been lost on a lot of younger people playing these MMOs and stuff like that. So I totally get that's really sad. You know, that all these games and these lore masters and lore writers that like dedicated so much time and effort to put into a game that people are not even going to pay attention to really does suck. Like, you know, if I would ever develop a game, I would want to make sure that people would understand that the lore is important to the quest. You need to understand what is going on. You need to read what you need to do next. If we have to put like a compass marker to make sure you know where to go, that's fine. How you get there is up to you. Kind of like how Oblivion is too. And this is not an MMO, but like
Yes.
it ties to yellow taping everything.
It's like looking up at the cavern ceiling in Dark Souls
Yeah.
or in Elden Ring. When you go into underground zones and you just look up, most people, gamers don't look up. Like even
No.
freaking, yeah, even Leaflet's like, yeah, gamers never look up, and she just
Yeah.
ambushes everybody. And I'm one of the few gamers that do. And when I look up, I see beautiful caverns. And even in Destiny 2, you go into the Forgotten City and you look up at the cathedrals, and there's just murals like Michelangelo just all across the ceilings. And I'm like, I wonder how many people have actually stopped to look at this.
Exactly. Like appreciate the
It's
time that the
beautiful.
designers put in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Instead, they go through with a speeder bike and just like forget everything.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I do that with Oblivion. I look up even in just like the regular skybox and stuff. Like I'm looking up and seeing. One of the funny things I like to look at is the weather effects in that game in particular. It's not the rain or the snow isn't being rendered in the environment. It's just like a camera filter.
Yeah,
So when you're moving around, it doesn't look right. But when you're looking around and standing, but when you're looking around, it looks okay. It's decent. It's when you're looking up and moving forward, you can just see the filter just at its fullest. It is so funny because just it doesn't fit right, but it does the job. But I agree. I share the same sentiment. Gamers never look up. They rarely ever look up. And I was like, oh, that's right. I should try looking up. And I did that. And there is more game to enjoy. But I'm not even kidding. There is more game to enjoy by looking up than to look forward. It's ridiculous. It's funny how something like that is actually very true. And then you practice it yourself. And it's like, oh, this is completely changes my perspective. Really, as simply as that. It's so simply stupid how it changes your perspective on the game itself.
yeah,
It's also very true.
yeah.
Um,
I
uh,
could have seen New World have been real competition to the current MMOs if people wouldn't have sped through the game.
mhm.
And then, of course, they had to squash all of the bug problems because, you can test as much as you want on a single or dual server system. But when you go live on an MMO, especially one that's like as clout as it was, you are going to run into problems. And unfortunately, they spent so much time squashing the problems they were running into that even the casual players got to the part where, okay, we've now gotten through the quest lines, and where is the I am strong now? What is there to challenge me part of the game? And they ended up spending a little bit too much time on trying to hash all the problems out instead of also developing at least something for end game. And as an interim, they didn't do something that they should have done, like with World of Warcraft. They didn't do an interim. The first thing you introduce into the game for in game is PvP,
Right.
because then the players are the story, the interactions with each other and the groups and the cults and the people doing whatever it is that they're doing becomes the entertainment of the game. And when you have the first focus is, okay, we're going to be adding in a PvP element system that will tide people over for a while, and that gives us enough time to add in a PvE end game element. Because of course there's going to be people like, well, I don't like fighting PvP. Well, so what? I mean, you can wait, or you can go make a new character, but it gives people something to do. And it also helps to adjust game balance for characters and classes, as well as note behaviors of players for future iterations and upgrades to the game. So if you start adding in PvP zones and not just like a battle arena or a war zone area or an open world flagged map where you just all hell break loose, go have fun, they can use that as their, okay, what do we need to go forward with on in-game and then future developments after this first raid or monumental PvE event that we're going to add into the game afterwards. And because they didn't have at least something there to tide the players over for 3 months, which would have been enough time to add something in, they were chasing complaints.
Right.
And that's where they messed up.
Yeah, that's the focus should definitely be I could say the focus should definitely be split on troubleshooting and bug fixing, as well as development into the game itself, into the story.
Yes.
I completely agree with that. Let me go ahead and continue with this guy's response here.
Yes.
We're going to close out his response here. With all that said, so it's talking about 30 to 40 hours, lore is being shared and things like that. And he says, with all that being said, I would still only care about hitting that metric if I felt the end game in question was robust and interesting enough to reach, or if the hours spent are enjoyable in their own rights. New World's end game seems to be kind of thin, which has dulled my desire to push to cap, and Guild Wars 2's endgame, fractals and raids in specific, yes, I am part of the problem, definitely had my interest, but getting through the specs in the rigmarole of playing normal game was an exercise of frustration enough that I stopped caring. So basically his gripe is that you need to either make the end game worth the time spent getting to it, or make the mid game and the interim interesting enough to compel me to get to the end game, or both is what he's trying to say. Which I agree with that. Like, you don't want an MMO that's so empty that people suddenly are there at the end game. Speedrunners and stuff like that just go through it. You definitely want to build a world. You're not just like building a sandbox either. It's just like it's a whole world for people to play in. You want to explore it. You want to see what's there. You want to work your character up to the point where he is like, I'm powerful enough to take on these guys. Let's go do it. And as you said earlier before, adding more challenging things like PvP, especially when you're trying to get into the end game, like that's one way of keeping end games interesting. That's one way of making the interim and making the meat of the sandwich taste good. So
yes.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
I mean, Tarkov's still a thing.
Yes, it is. Even with all its problems, it's still like people love that game.
Yeah.
So
they'll gripe, they'll bitch, they'll be miserable, but you know what? They still love that game.
Absolutely. It's what do they call it? What would you call it? A codependent relationship, not an abusive relationship. No, I'd call it an abusive relationship.
Yeah, an abusively codependent relationship.
There you go. There we go. That's it. Oh man. Oh, healing. Let's see here. So yeah, I kind of agree with this guy's take. If you're, if you have the time for the week, I'm a weekend guy. I don't play MMOs for that reason.
Yep.
I'm also not a no lifer either. So, I mean, but I agree with the take to the extent of making it viable for someone who has responsibilities to play in it, to pick up an MMO. So, that being said, well, you pretty much would agree with his take on time to end game and things like that, and things like, okay.
I do. If you're doing like chapter based, kind of like how I did one expansion is going to take this many hours, and then you're to the end of it, versus another expansion you're going to have about this many hours on average, playing 12 hours a week max. And I could that's 2 full weekends of just playing the game. I could understand that style of thought process. And then you still have to keep in mind, like, how many of your players are no-lifing the game and how many of the players are like weekend warrioring. And you need to find like a balance to who you're going to gear towards more. And you have to make sure you don't leave the weekend warriors out, or you leave the ones that just no life the game high and dry and end up with nobody happy.
Right. That's just asking for failure. Let me see here. All right. Well, let's go on to the next response. Let's see. I think we have 2 more responses left. First one here, or the second to last one here, is Sam Cash's the Sam Cash. Probably could find him on Twitch. He says, for your typical MMO, or for my typical MMO, where I'm leveling up for some dungeons and story content, I'll play around 40 to 50 hours to be at true end game. I think that's a fair amount of time to spend dragging my noob self out of the gutters. Now, for end game PvP content, 5 hours tops. Okay. There shouldn't really be a huge difference in sheer strength and power levels of an end game PvPer and a noob. No.
I'm going to disagree on that.
Yeah. The difference should only be an ability to pop off skills smart and efficiently. Anything else is just PvP designed to create the haves and the have-nots. Excuse me. So the
That is
first
a
half,
the first half I do agree with on that one.
yeah.
That second half, I'm gonna have to disagree on that at some points.
Yeah, I'm drawing the line there. It's like there shouldn't be a huge difference between sheer strength and power levels of PvP gamer and noob. It's like, buddy, that's what PvP is. That's exactly what it's for.
That's what it is. And there, in all honesty, should there be some kind of wall between the completely geared out guy noob stomping? In certain instances, in areas, yes, and then some areas just free for all. And yes, you're just as a noob going to have to worry about the guy that has no life and just sits there with his maxed out gear camping newbies. But that shouldn't be like a complete hard wall. You should be able to come back to that area while going into like a different area that you can PvP in, that the elitist jerks aren't constantly being around.
Yeah, the toxic players. Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, the ability to PvP, you could end up going into like an arena ranking system or a battlegrounds ranking system where the guy fresh off the boat from, well, I'm at the end game now, and now it's time for PvP, and I have the hobo equipment of whatever the hell I scrounged out, like, and my set literally looks like I just jumped into a dumpster, jumped out, and that's my equipment. Nothing matches, nothing's the same color, and it all stinks.
Right.
And the guy that has the full freaking skeleton of a monster with ultimate flaming sword and epic ghost mount, yeah, that there should at least be an area where you can fight other noobs and a noob to noob battle for the top, or a absolute open world, everybody free for all, whatever your power is, good luck. If you have good skills, you can overcome it, or just ambush, and hopefully 1,000 noobs can take out the guy that's epically geared. Kind of like how with Destiny 2, they had the Iron Banner, where your gear and weapon levels mattered.
Yeah.
So you could go in with brand new gear, but you're going to be doing the restricted damage of brand new gear versus somebody that's wearing in-game gear. And that was something I found interesting. And it wasn't like a permanent thing. It was like the roving banner challenge that would happen every so often. And that was interesting because it shows you the power disparity between somebody that has worked and earned their gear versus Joe Blow new guy that skipped all the content, went to the end, and he's still rocking level 30 gear at 100 because he didn't bother to pick anything up.
Right.
And you get face walled, and you go, oh, maybe I should actually play the game and get the equipment I need.
Yeah. So yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly why. Going back to a couple of previous points, that's exactly why the story matters. That's exactly why the interim in the grind is important, because you want to get to a point where you can, when you do get to PvP, you can take on the best of the best and not have to worry about being overpowered if you're good enough or if you're skilled enough and things like that. So yeah, this guy's second half of his answer is not correct. It makes no sense, because PvP is literally for the people who are better than noobs, and it's also for the noobs. So like there has to be a power difference, or else it's like Call of Duty lobbies. Like, yeah, the only difference is a matter of skill. You can have the better weapons all you want and all the unlocks you want, but it's still a matter of skill when it comes to those things. So, well, I mean, more so about skill than it is about the unlocks, but those matter too.
Or knowing the maps, because Call of Duty becomes the camp fest. You have to know where everybody's camping from.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really dumb. But the first part is actually a pretty good take. It's a pretty decent take. Let's see. Last response, and then I kind of want to take a quick break and then go into a couple more one-liners here. Tyler Edwards, who has a blog, he says, I think the answer is it depends. That is 100% correct. We can just stop there. No, I'm kidding. I think the answer is it depends. Is your game totally focused on end game with leveling content just as a glorified tutorial? With leveling content just a glorified tutorial, then keep it short. Is it leveling a rich experience unto itself with good story and fun quests? 40 to 50 hours feels good to me. You could even go the ESO approach and have no clear demarcation between leveling and end game, at which point how long it takes to reach the cap doesn't even really matter. Okay. Let's pause on that. So 40, 50 hours. Yeah, if the idea behind it is just like making super bonk, then keeping it short is definitely a good idea. Who would want a super bonk MMO though? If you're really going in for the MMO experience, that'd be a bad idea. If it's a leveling a rich experience unto itself with a good story and fun quest, then yeah, you should at least sink a week's worth of time into it. So I agree with that. I agree with that part of the statement there. Especially with like MMOs, when you're trying to build up your character, trying to make a really powerful character, get all the nice, cool armor, the nicest armor, the best with the best stats, the weapons with the best stats, and everything, just be able to do the raid or do the end game. You kind of want to be prepared for that. So yeah, you want to sink the time into that. What were you going to say?
I was going to say on the part where he's talking about the no clear distinction between leveling and in-game, there has been a couple of popular games that weren't really MMOs that did do something like that, to where your level really doesn't matter. It's the gear equipment that you have, your weapon type will always do the same amount of damage versus whatever, and it's the style and skill aspect the entire way. I think it was like one of the Chinese games that Asmon had played, the Jade Monkey one or whatever it was.
Wukong, whatever it was.
Maybe Wukong. No, it was a Jade game. It was.
Oh, Jade. Okay, my bad.
It was before Wukong came out. But
gotcha.
It's like it's like your different fighting styles. You can get different weapons. You can get better weapons that do better damage, but you weren't really leveling. Like, you're always as strong as you are, but you are fighting all of these enemies with, say, kind of like how Helldivers does it, to where you've got light armor, medium, and heavy armor, and the redundancy, or not the redundancy, the resistances and the resiliency you get depends on what class of armor, but all the base weapons will take down your opponents, both PvP and PvE wise. And that is like going through the game like that, and you're just playing the game as a Joe Blow character. Like, so I've seen only 2 games do that decently, and a lot of them just did not work out correctly.
Right. You have to implement it the right way, or else it's just going to be a failure. So yeah, I totally hear that. Like, yeah, Helldivers does that. It's not even. There's not really an end game to it. Yeah, exactly.
Level 1 guy can walk in with a guy that's 150. He might not have all the cool toys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's like the difference between those is it's the cool toys game versus the my power level game.
Right. And would you build an MMO based on the My Cool Toys game, or cool toys?
Cool toys.
Mechanics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen, like I said, I've seen 2 semi-successful games that did that. One was like a Chinese-style fighting game, where it was based off whether you had like a monk bare fist or nunchucks, pole arm, staff, and you had like the different armors you could put on. But each armor type had a flat like damage resistance, and then after it broke or was pierced through, like that was it. Like somebody even brand new with just a staff and they're just starting monk could whack you enough times that you would go down. It would take longer, but you could make up with that with skill.
I think that can be. I feel like that is something that actually could be implemented correctly. But again, as you said, it's only like a couple of games that did that successfully. Moving on real quick to
Yep.
The second part of his answer here. I usually enjoy leveling more than endgame, so I'm happy for it to take a while. But again, that does presume that the leveling experience is actually a good time unto itself. I'll generally abandon games where that isn't the case. I could also appreciate when there's options to level up more quickly once you've gone through it once. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much what I've been saying.
Yeah, exactly. Like, make it worth it. And kind of what I was saying too, like make the end game worthwhile by either having the like the interim, the mid level, and the mid game pay out the rewards. Make it worth your while by making it worth your while.
Definitely a fine line of respect the player's time and don't abuse them, while at the same time making a stand with, this is my experience, this is my development team's game, please play the game. And you have to find that fine line of respecting the player's time and respecting the developer's time. And when you refuse to compromise on that is when you end up with total failure games, such as like Marathon and Concord.
Yeah.
And I mean, unfortunately, Marathon did not respect the players at all. People were going, hey, we wanted a player versus environment experience too, like Tarkov, and not just a only player versus player. And that was the thing with Arc Raiders. There was player versus player is involved, but there's also the player versus element, whereas with that game, it's just player versus player.
Right. Exactly.
And that got boring.
Exactly. That sucks. You know, some of these answers are just like L takes, and some of them are actually really decent. Some of the funniest L takes I'll ever remember. Carlo, you are a massive Quango. This is a Quango L take. Because like I don't want to play an MMO unless reach end game in fifth. If it's less than if it's more than 15 hours, like it's like you're not. Then don't play an MMO. Play Cyberpunk 2077. You can get through that game. Like
it's just like, I want to play a game without playing a game. Then don't play the game.
I want a well done steak that's juicy and delicious.
And do it in 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Like what the?
It's like, no.
I want a lobster that's buttery and dry. All right. Let's.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. All right.
Yeah.
Let's before we go, take a quick break.
Yeah. Do some more one-liners.
Let's get a couple of one-liners in. I want to go back to Duke Nukem. I think I just found a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Your face, your ass. What's the difference? Oh. Your face, your ass. What's the difference? That's good, dude. Oh my gosh, I remember. I was on Words of Paradise Discord, and they did a movie night because they did a spin the wheel for a movie night, and it was the movie that it was Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Ah, yes. Yeah. Talking about that. That movie is so bad. It's so good. I have never seen so much exposed breasts in any 80s action movie ever than in that movie alone. It's like just
they knew their audience.
They knew exactly who they were making the demographic they were making this movie for.
Somebody said low-hanging fruit, and they said all the fruit.
It's like pairs of them, pairs and pairs of them. Yeah. There was one line that I think the main bad guy said to his henchmen. And I'm going to quote it here because like they lost the diamonds is what it was. It's like a couple of broads stole the diamonds from us, and the dude literally says to them, "If your brains were bird shit, you'd have a clean cage." I was like, "Oh my god, that's a hard insult." That is a hard insult from this. I'm using that. I'm stealing that. Yes. I am not gonna sit here and let someone just talk down to me. It's like, bro, if your brains were bird crap, you'd have a clean cage, my friend. Oh my god, that's good. So that was one of my favorite ones. That's not even a one-liner; it's just an insult, and it's perfect.
It is.
So if your brains were bird shit, you'd have a clean cage. Oh my god.
If your brains were bird shit, you'd have a clean cage.
Beautiful. Let's do one more here. Let's see. After entering a back room in Duke Burger, nobody messes with my meat.
Nobody messes with my meat.
What a line. Banger line right there. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's take a really short break. I do need to use the bathroom real quick. So let's go ahead and take a short break and we will come back in a moment. All right. Everybody who's watching,
Alrighty.
if anybody's watching here, if you're on Twitch, YouTube, Kick, go ahead and say hello. If nobody's watching, doesn't matter. It's perfectly all right. You'll have access to the VOD. We'll be right back. All right. Give us just a moment. Let me see.
Drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. You're about to get drama. Drama to the fish drama. You're about to get drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Fishy. Fishy, let's go! Drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Drama tuna. You're about to get drama. Drama to the drama to the drama to the drama to the drama. Fishy, let's go. You're about to get drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Drama tuna. You're about to get drama. Drama to the fish drama. Drama tuna. You're about to get drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Drama tuna. Fishy. You're about to get drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Drama tuna. You're about to get drama. Drama to the fish drama. Drama tuna. You're about to get drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Drama tuna. Fishy. Fishy, let's go. You're about to get drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Drama tuna. You're about to get drama. Drama to the fish drama. Drama tuna. You're about to get drama. Fishy drama, fish drama. Drama tuna. Fishy. Fishy, let's
All right. All right. I am back real quick. I don't know if Devil is coming back. If he is, he should be back. You back?
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. No, you're fine. You're fine. I freaking DM'd you. Let me know when you're ready, and it just went on ahead. So if anything, it's on me. So my bad.
No, it's fine.
Let me put on some little something here real quick, because I feel like we just need a tiny little bit of atmosphere, because I think it's just funny.
Oh yeah.
Let me see.
And then you wanted to go into the social media aspect of the Zoomer brain rot,
Yes,
because that's definitely affecting games.
Oh my gosh, you would not believe it. Let me find something. I'm gonna be looking through X on this one. So let me find something.
Oh, that's dangerous to do live.
Oh, you know what? You're right. Maybe let's not.
You'd have to pick and choose.
I have to curate it, and we don't have time for that. So let's avoid that a little bit. But because what I usually like to do on X is attack Quangos, so, or at least repost Templar takes and saying that
About to say,
were
if you
justified.
do that, we're definitely going to run into things
Yeah,
that'll get you.
We're going to get in trouble.
down.
It's like I curated it to be very anti-Islamic. So, yeah, let's not.
My man.
My guy. All right, let's see. Well, here's what I was going to say too. A lot of Zoomer brain, and especially I don't even know if Gen Alpha's even getting involved in games yet, because I think they're still kids at this point. But some of them are starting to get up there. As far as
they're in their 20s now.
Gen Alpha's in their 20s.
Let's check the date here. What age is
No
Gen
way.
Alpha?
(2010 to 2024) is Gen Alpha.
Okay.
So anybody who's born 2010 to 2024 is Gen Alpha. Okay, so if someone was born in 2012,
Okay, they're coming into adulthood.
Okay.
All
2010.
right, so they're going to be graduating high school. Yeah.
Yeah, in a few years' time. Yeah, I'm like in a. Yeah. Okay. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, the time flies.
I don't like that. I'm getting too old for this.
Okay. Yeah, Gen Z stops 2012, and then Gen Alpha is 2013. So the newer ones, or excuse me, the older Gen Alpha guys, those are the ones that are definitely going to be coming up into the job markets here soon, if they're not already doing that for high school jobs, because I've seen a few at fast food places.
Yep. And they're like, "Bet, here you go." I'm like, stop, hold it right there.
Yeah.
One of the things I noticed too with the difference between like the slang in Gen Z and the slang with Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and it's the same with millennials too. Gen Z, millennials, they share similarities with their slang. It just comes naturally. Like they build something that they use, and it's like that's just the terms that they use, and it just flows naturally with them. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel, it doesn't feel like manufactured. Gen Alpha is different. They come up with a new slang every week, and it's dead within 5 days. And they come up with something different, and it feels rushed and forced.
I blame Coco Melon.
Yeah, I do too. Coco Melon has ruined it for people.
Yes.
Coco Melon's ruined everything.
Yeah.
But one of the funny things too is like one of the words that Gen Alpha uses is "pla." It's like, what does that mean? Don't know. 6-7 is a Gen Alpha thing too. That's the one thing though that's actually still staying around. I've noticed is actually like this one is like a zombie slang term. Is 6-7. So
the 6-7 one is something that everybody else started doing because like it's so dumb. But then again, we had 69.
Yeah,
but
like 69 meant something.
Yeah, it did.
But 6-7 doesn't mean anything.
It's like when the parents get a hold of a meme and they're using it just to fuck with the kids.
Yeah,
and it makes them cringe every time. I'm pretty much thinking that's what everybody's doing with the 6-7.
Yeah, it's like, ew, Dad, that's Ohio Skibbity. It's Skibbity Ohio Riz. That's gross.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What are you talking about? So,
It's like when South Park made, it was many years ago, they made the episode where they were going to bomb Pearl Harbor because that's what the Chimpokomon, because legally distinct difference. And then finally, in order to stop them from bombing Pearl Harbor, all the parents got into Chimpokomon. And it's like, oh, this is dead. The parents love it. We hate this.
yeah, exactly. I remember that. I watched the episode. That was funny.
Oh yeah.
That was really funny. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like, we're trying to kill it so they can come up with something different. My concern with that is that they come up with something that's even worse.
And
so
I've never heard of 6-7 out of a younger generation, like the Gen Alpha. I've never heard them say 6-7. People say they do. All the ones I hear saying it are millennials and Gen X and Zoomers.
And Zoomers, yeah. Is Gen Z Zoomers, or is it Zoomers that are like
Gen Z Zoomers?
Okay, so just Zoomers in general. I've heard Zillennial, which is like the millennials that are born close to Gen Z generation and stuff like that, and vice versa.
They just don't want to be called millennials, so they call themselves that.
Okay,
that's just how that is.
Okay,
there's like I disassociate myself from the millennial crowd because oh my god, they're fucking terrible.
So do I. Like,
yeah.
What?
It's
Stop
like
self-aggrandizing and just live. Yeah. Just live. So, yeah, we got the struggles. We're struggling the same thing you are. We're not complaining about it.
I know, and I just saw the people my age, the millennial group, acting the way they were, and I'm like, I never acted this way. How the hell is this normal?
How did you guys get away with talking like this in your adult age?
Yeah.
How?
Or how did you get away with the shit that y'all are doing now, and I had to freaking do all this extra work shit, and you've got these people that are like with flip-flops still freaking borrowing their mother's car. It's just like,
seriously.
Wait a minute.
Seriously.
Like, what the fuck?
You got millennials who are afraid to speak at the doctor's office and have to bring their parent with them. Well, that's Gen Z too, in that too, but like there are still millennials who do that. But Zoomers are doing that as well. It's like, you guys stop for one. Stop it for one.
Yeah, stop that.
Stop that. You are an adult now. There are certain things there's certain forms of communication in certain ways certain forms of etiquette that's expected of you that you need to actually meet.
Which unfortunately isn't taught anymore. That's the issue.
So, it's like people aren't taught manners anymore. I hate it.
No, we aren't taught that anymore. We're taught about how many flags we need in our bios. So unfortunately, that is a root of the problem, which both several people have gone over. And I'm not going to get into detail because they have, and we'll be here all night doing that.
Yeah, I don't want to make this longer than we need to. So
we'll leave that with Leaflet and Kirsha.
Yeah, if you guys want political commentary and generational cultural commentary, go see Kirsha or who would you call her?
Leaflet, Amalgamite.
Amalgamite, Leaflet. There's another one I'm thinking of too. Cinevere. That's
Mizuki. Cinevere. Yeah, Cinevere as well.
Cinevere's good. You get her going, she won't stop.
Yep.
Especially on anime. Good lord.
She will straight up pull out the mom.
Straight
up. Yep.
She's pulled it out a few times on some people.
Oh yeah.
But they usually come back and they're like, yeah, she was right. So but anyway.
Or I've banned them. One of the two.
Yeah, that too. So get out of here, Coingo. But anyway, let's go ahead. I think we should delve into our next topic here. And I think you brought this one up too. It's the patch notes for Dune Awakening. I think that's what it is.
This leads into the social media and the MMO degradation of the games.
There you go. All right. Let me go ahead and get it pulled up here, and then we will take a look-see. Let me see if I can move our things around here. I cannot. Oh, well, that's fine. You don't need to.
The one that you need to go to on this is the patch note for 1.3200, and it says highlights.
All right. That did Control F, and that's not working, so let's go ahead and get out of that.
I'm about to say if you just scroll down a little bit.
Yeah, just scroll down. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, you just passed
1.3
right there.
right here.
That
All right.
first line.
Introduce PvP and PvE deep desert instances. All official worlds will now have at least one PvE and PvP instance in of the deep desert.
Now,
So the very first thing.
have you played this?
I have not. I've seen gameplay of it though. This is probably a mistake, is my assumption.
Oh, you've already caught on to that. And then you've got the second part, the second line as well.
Haga Basin, I'm just saying it that way, is now fully PvE across the entire map, including shipwrecks. Is this a like tutorial starter area or no?
No. So
then why are you doing that?
Here's what ended up happening: is people, despite what anybody wants to say about it, most people are adverse to confrontation and conflict on average. Like, of course, there's the aggressive people. There's the ones that grow up and are glorified violence, and then that's what they pick up on. But your average Joe in a civilized society is adverse to confrontation. And what they end up doing is, if there's consequences to their actions, they won't take their actions. And what they were having problems with is that people were complaining the end game for this Dune game is PvP. You go out and you play through the story and you build up and you put armor and you make your base and you go out into the deep desert, which is a no holds bar, anybody versus anybody PvP zone. And that was apparently too scary because, you know, trolls exist, and you know, the 5 trolls apparently are better than the entire player base. So everybody uses the 5 trolls as an excuse to not go out there because, well, what if I lose all of my equipment? Because it's one of those games where you die, you lose your equipment, or you lose the vehicle that you were in and stuff like that. So of course, nobody wants to take that loss because somebody else, and it's like you go in a group or you find out ways to build your character to fight multiple people and get the hell out of Dodge. Like, that's, you have to learn the game mechanics and how to use them to your advantage and conquer that situation you're in and get the hell out, or in the people that are attacking you based off of they weren't expecting you to have the ability to face tank missiles, which is a thing you can do.
You can face tank missiles?
Yes, you can. If you build your character correctly with the stats and you read, my God, the fucking thing that's impossible for newer generations and older generations to do that are on the one-liners of social media. They can't read.
They can't read.
So they don't read what they do. They don't experiment with the builds. They go on, watch a tutorial, and then they follow exactly what the tutorial says, even if the tutorial is completely fucking wrong. And a friend of mine and I play this game, and we've found interesting things to do and have become terrors of the night on a couple of servers, unintentionally, because that's just how it goes. When somebody tries to hit us with a brick, we build a wall with it and smack them instead. They don't like that. And you get plenty of Pikachu faces as to what the fuck just happened. And even if we don't win, we have the mentality of, well, even if we can't win, we can all lose together. And that's not a mentality most people run into. It's a, oh shit, and run, or I'm just going to keep running until, oh, nope, gotta go. I took a scratch. I gotta go. And then they leave. Yeah. So as soon as the situation flips around, they panic and run. Versus where it's like, no, get back here. Get back here. Give me a hug. What do you mean the vest I'm wearing is ticking? No, don't worry about that. I learned this from a guy I found out about.
No, don't come. I'm French. Yeah. My vest is friend shape. I just want to give you a hug, dude.
Yes.
My suicide vest is friend shape.
Yeah. No. This the friendliness distributor. You got to use the correct terminology. You're on Twitch, but
you're right. I'm not affiliated yet. I got to run into too many problems.
Yeah. But no, what they ended up doing is they killed their game doing this, and they saw immediately what happened. Because when everything was open PvP, you needed to be in a clan, you needed to be in a group, you needed to have friends, or you needed to be able to be a desert rat, get in, get out, and avoid the big groups, and you would play solo, and you'd learn how to play solo and fend for yourself and you would be the unnoticeable small guy.
Right.
Like, straight up the desert vulture. You just come in, get your pickings off a carcass that something bigger left behind, and leave. And that was your gameplay style. And people were going, they weren't wanting to join up to other groups. And of course, when you got people in groups, it turns into the usual human mentality, which people mistake for high school plus mentality, when that's actually how humans act in the real world all the time. So the groups fall apart, they have internal dramas, and people end up reforming and regrouping, and it just turns into, well, we as the little guys who can't fight these bigger groups that claim everything in the big PvP zones, and because we're scared to PvP, we need a safe haven. So they gave them the biggest mistake ever. They gave them safe spaces. And in order to encourage people, and this is, I expected this was what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The PvE zone has limited resources, and in order to encourage people to go into the PvP zone, which the game was intended to be built as, has an abundance of resources. And so, you know what everybody did? I'm pretty sure you can guess.
They decided to stay in the PvE area anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are trolling and fighting and trying to like, you can't kill anybody, you can't damage anybody, but you can block nodes off. So you've now got people that are building their bases to block off the nodes and hoard the resources so nobody can get them, and they are using game bugs and glitches to troll people and steal things from stashes that you normally couldn't, and it's turning into an absolute nightmare of complete shittery, because the people that would be put down for trying to do shit like that in an open PvP zone can get away with it. So it's just turned into 4chan without consequences.
That's
like,
so
straight
dumb.
up.
That is the worst thing you could have implemented in here. And this isn't even like a starter area. Like, this is where my character started. I can understand having
this is
that
in game.
This is in game too. This isn't like tutorial area or like I said before, like level 1 through 5 area. This is an intermediate area that is fully PvE, which is so bad. That is the worst thing you could do, because as you said before,
yes,
you are literally incentivizing. Incentivizing. What's the word I'm looking for? Your complacency. That's it. You're incentivizing complacency, and it's so wrong. And then you have these trolls who understand the game, or at least the mechanics, a basic understanding of the mechanics in these areas that are basically just resource hogging. And if you try to get some, they're
can't
going
do
to
anything about it because they're immune.
Exactly.
You can't remove them from the node. So, and then the funny thing is when I went into the PvP zones, they're peaceful. Nobody's there. There's a handful of people that are like, okay, well, if we're going to PvP, let's go to PvP. Empty. And everybody's friendly too. Like, you can go to a resource area and pick up what you need, and go to crash sites and any resource rich areas, because they've increased, in order to try to encourage people to go to the PvP zone, they have an abundance of resources. Like, hey, look guys, we're trickle feeding you over here in the safe zone, but if you take a little bit of hint of danger and you go into the conflict zone where you might face PvP, because it's still a big area, you can get everything you need. And so you've got a couple of dozen people over in the PvP zone being friendly. We'll just literally fly up and wave to each other and be like, hey, how's it going today? I'm just here to get some stuff for my... It's like, yeah, cool. And you just chit-chat over the voice comm, and you're just having a grand old time. And of course, you still have the gun ready to be drawn at any given time, because you never know.
Yeah.
And you get all the crap you need, because none of you can carry more stuff than the node provides. And you just load up and leave, and literally you're respectful, because, well, you could lose all your shit if you fuck off. Exactly. It's that simple. And they refuse to leave the PvE zones to go to the PvP. And of course, there might have been a couple that trickle out to the PvP zone, but they're not going to. So of course, all the trolls are going to stay in the safe area, which makes everybody's life worse. So the people in the PvP zones are having a grand old peaceful time for the most part, because there's still a few people that are, they're going to go out there gung-ho, freaking Arc Raider style, but
Oh yeah.
most of the guys are just like, yeah, I'm just here farming today. Or they'll go out into the PvP zone. It's like, all right, who's wanting an ass kicking? And somebody will chime in, try it if you can, and they'll meet each other in whatever grid sector of the map.
Yep.
And like they'll have a freaking slug out battle, and then the next thing you know, it'll be like, damn it, you got me. I'll get you next time.
Exactly.
Like, and
gentlemanly duels, and then resource farming, being friendly in the area that's designed to allow competition. Everybody is cooperating in the area that's designed to encourage cooperation. Everybody's competing. It's the mindset. The mind is boggling me. You literally created an area that is free of consequence for trolls to just mess up the whole entire game. So if anybody new wants to join in on this game, they want to start out low and start, it's like, well, I have to go and get this. Luckily, I'm in an area that has it. Oh, but wait, someone built in this area and I can't access the things I need to get to in order to, upgrade my vehicle or to upgrade my stuff.
Or your armor or your weapons or repair.
Exactly. Or even find, there's currency in the game, right?
Yeah, even currency.
Yeah.
And it's just
literally the worst thing you did. You stifled early game. And therefore, your game is going to die unless you fix it.
This was in game. They stifled the in game. Like
this is end game.
This is
my gosh! You're right. My bad.
This is not early game. Early game's always been PvE, but they pushed you into PvP after you've developed your skills and built your armor and your equipment and your character out, and then they kick you out into, all right, taking the bottle away. Here's your freaking rocket launcher. Go have fun. And they stopped that and they gave him a bigger bottle.
I'm taking away the 12-ounce bottle and giving you a 24-ounce bottle.
Yeah.
Forget the chicken nuggets on the side here, brother. Just drink this instead. Good Lord.
And there's some detail about this that's very important that my friend and I who play this game have gone over. And he's in their server for their Discord, the official Discord. And it was absolute chaos. And he managed to calm it down some because the problem is that this game developer team also does Conan. You know the Conan game?
Yeah,
they just released
Exiles, something like that.
Yeah, Conan Exiles, and they just released the free upgrades for all that.
Okay.
The problem that they've ran into is that game development company is now on a downward spiral and took the devil's advocate money from Tencent. Tencent invested into them multi-millions to try to bail them out, and Tencent, of course, doesn't play. When they give you money, they expect money back. And if you don't, well, they're just going to, acquire all of your IPs and assets very cheaply compared to what it would be if they had to compete and bid on it if you closed your doors otherwise without them being an investor. Smart on them.
Yeah.
Assholes. I hate them. But business venture-wise, understandable. And unfortunately, because they're able to use Chinese taxpayer money to do it, they have unlimited funds. So they pumped in a buttload of money into that game development company and pretty much gave them the lowdown that this is your last chance. This game is your last chance. The expansion you're releasing is your last chance. You need to pull a profit out of this game and get players playing your game, or we are taking your company. This is what they implemented. And it
Good
went
job, guys.
horribly.
You're getting bought out.
Yes. And they have also released the Conan Exiles free remake, which is like, I see issue with that, where it should have been at least a paid update. If not a large amount, that should have been, hey, the remaster is going to be like $10, $12, $15 max. And they could have at least assisted. No, they made the remake of Conan X, or the rework of the update for Conan Exiles in the new game engine styling free.
Absolutely free.
Which it's awesome that but they're not in the financial situation to do that. Tencent even told them, do not release Conan Exiles first. They said that you need to they told the developers, pull all of your development team that you can and leave a skeleton crew working on Conan. Put everybody on Dune. get Dune working. Dune has promise, Conan does not. And they went ahead and instead of releasing the new expansion that's supposed to be coming out in a couple months for this game, Dune first, they released the Conan Exiles, for whatever reason, update for free before they released this. And it's just like, why? They told you. It's like, I get it. They might not like being told what to do, but from their retrospect, they have seen and acquired and rebuilt companies from the ground up, IPs from the ground up, and it worked. Or they were able to take those IPs and acquire them. And unfortunately, it's looking like this game development company might be an acquisition rather than an investment. And all because of they're on death's door as a company. Like they took that money. They took the money knowing full well that they have to deliver. And then they're making executive decisions like faux pas when they shouldn't be. And they can fix this. They have to freaking delete the PvE area in the end game. And they also need to communicate better with their player base, because they still have like 8,000 players playing this game, which is better than Concord and Highguard. But yeah. But
Marathon. Anyway,
marathon. Yeah. But so at least it is a player base that can grow, and it is also a player base that can diminish. And the choices that they made is not growing. And so they're making the player base even more unhappy. They need to get rid of the PvE safety zone and go back to open world PvP endgame again. And just like with the MMOs, they didn't have an end game. They had the story's great, the world is great. They actually know the books, they know the lore, they go into that. They're actually working that into the game. They make everything interesting. And of course, there's some people that skip all that crap and they just rush to wherever. Now they can rush to the PvE end game and collect in-game items because it's PvE. And they have no consequence. See, there's the other problem. The 15-hour guy is going to win with this game.
Yes.
Because, just skip straight to the end of the game and there's no consequences because it's safety zone for in-game. Like, exactly. Why would you play the game? Oh, I'm going to be in the final grade of the armor because I can go to the last part of the game that's safe.
Why would you do that if you know the area is safe?
Yeah.
Why bother? Why bother working towards the end game if the end game is not worth getting to at this point?
And it was an insult to the players and newcomers, because now you're going to cater to the TikTok Zoomer brain rot crap instead of actually cultivating people that will play your game and enjoy your game and reward the players that play your game with an appropriate end game. And one of the things that I had thrown out there is in the Deep Desert, the way that they get people to remove their structures so they're not permanent is every week, every 6 days, there is a giant sandstorm. Have you ever seen Dune the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, those giant sandstorms happen in the game where it's just the angry eye of, or the wall of Ra freaking from the Mummy just comes through and just destroys everything in the Deep Desert zone.
Yeah.
And you have to you either have to disassemble your base and take it back to the safety zone and wait for the storm to go, and then the next day after it's server maintenance. And then after the server maintenance, then they'll go back out there, the Deep Desert's fresh, and everybody resets and reclaims in a giant gold rush to build their base for their guild or for themselves. And that's how they're able to, at least while it was PvP only, we're able to keep the Deep Desert relevant so everybody still gets a chance. Because if you're fast enough, you can get out there and hold the ground and build a base on a resource zone and be able to defend it, or at least hold that area before somebody else. And the other thing now is because it's PvE, they can just farm all of the materials, leave the base on the node until the base is destroyed, and not take it down just to spite everybody. And they've made more than enough resources off of the node hoarding, and just ferry that all back to the safe zone to one of the other players' bases, and to just, you know, use that as a cargo hold. And as soon as the storm maintenance is over, they go back out there and reclaim the node again. So nobody can get the node. And it's just like, it's terrible.
That's so
and people are going to get frustrated. Yeah.
The consequence, and I guarantee you, I'm going to say this, I guarantee that it is the brain rot and TikTok Gen Z people who are doing the trolling. It's not the millennials. It's probably not even like the late or like the very early Gen Z people either. It's most likely, everybody born after 1999 and up. That's causing problems for people in these PvE areas. My bad. Listen, I'm not a game designer. I'm not going to claim any expertise in that. But even I understand you don't set up a base in a valley where enemies can see you from higher up. You don't set up yourself for failure. And this is what these people are doing. And then on top of that, Tencent, I guarantee you, Tencent is the major stakeholder for this development team. It's not a stakeholder. They're the stakeholder. Yeah. They are the stakeholder.
They are the investor.
Yeah, they're the investor. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah. They may be guys, but they're not doing the stakeholder. They're doing the actual holding. They are investors.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you. Yeah, my bad. So these guys are investing in you to see that you make them money. Otherwise, they're going to make sure you will never be able to develop another game ever again. That's why they're buying up these companies and these IPs, because they don't want to buy them up to work on them and everything. They're buying them up to send a message that if you fail to deliver, you're dead in the water. And
they can take your IP and they'll see if a promise of it. If they see if it's promising, they'll just use it. Look at Marvel.
And if not, they're going to sit on it.
Yeah. They'll just sit on it and maybe sell it later on auction and make more money.
Exactly.
Because Dune is a big IP. Mm-hmm. That company was lucky that they were able to get the Dune IP license to them.
Absolutely.
And they're squandering it.
They really are.
And one of the things I had suggested that they should have done instead was, you know how Destiny, have you played Destiny 2?
I have.
Okay, you know how every week they have a rotational, or either daily or weekly, they have a rotational night what was it called?
A night raid or something like that?
The night raid or whatever it is, where it's a different map, and then that's what it's going to be. Different strike or whatever it was. And it was just this is the one that's going to be they could literally, with the desert op, it could be, it's on this planet, it's got ancient ruins, the giant storm comes through, server maintenance kicks through, it comes on, and then lo and behold, a giant ruin is now exposed out in the deep desert, and everybody needs to Lara Croft it and raid the ruin. And you can fight each other over raiding the ruins, and you can only get specific gear during that week that the ruins are open, or specific weapons, or get specific quests for that. And then at the end of the week, storm comes through. Oh, the sand buried it. And then, look at this, a giant spaceship that had managed to crash and was unburied. And it's now a new tech stuff that you can unlock and gear you could do. And you could literally do the weekly rotation. So the content won't get old as quickly because you still have a time lock, but it's a respectable time lock. And it's not like you rush to the end of the game. Okay, well, I want this piece of gear, I want this loadout, and I want this piece of equipment and these weapons. You're now locked behind a time barrier of, you can only get this piece of equipment from the ruins, this piece of equipment from a crash ship, this piece of equipment from something else that shows up. So you could have a month worth of content off of dungeons that you could make, or little areas that, or not really little areas, but a raidable zone
Yeah.
where you could have guilds go in or multiple factions go in at one time. And that could be a thing where every week it's rotating. You only get specific equipment. It also levels out the market because you're going to have people that will farm it and then put stuff on the market for auction or for buyout. And then I'll also have player interactivity, like being able to also add in, if you have a player market, you can have people that never go out of the auction house. Like there are people that's their lives. And you could add that into the game where you have the crafting people. Just like with Black Desert, there were people that never left the town and they became like the best crafters in game. And that's a thing. That is a thing you can do. You would have the market moguls, and then you've got the people that are the gatherers, and then you got the people that are the PvP, and they all interact with each other, and you would have your own player base growing off their own interactions. And you still have to occasionally throw in chaos to keep it going where, look, a new zone or a new map feature or a new piece of equipment, or we're going to shake up the deep desert by doing different events in it. And that was the problem, is everybody rushed to the end game and then there was no end game. Now you can just skip the game and be in end game, which is not rewarding the player.
Exactly.
And it's killing their game, and this is the last chance they have, and if they fuck it up, they're going to get bought out.
Yeah. And if Tencent still sees promise in the IP, they're going to do what they can to maintain it or at least work on it. But at this point, what they're doing now, it's killing the game. It really is killing the game. You can't do this. You just can't do this and expect profit.
And then the other thing that ended.
No, I was just saying, you're literally just doing everything your investor is telling you not to do, and it's not working. It's literally just ego at this point, is what I think it is.
And Tencent has experience. Like as evil as they are, they still have experience because they have acquired so many IPs from failed investments, and they know what causes failed investments, and they're saying this fails. Like, believe them.
Yeah, like
straight up, when they tell you this fails, believe it.
Yeah, exactly. They're not speaking. They're not talking out of their butt. They're not talking out of their ass here. They're literally telling you, we've seen this happen time and time again, and you are doing the very thing that's going to lead to that. Stop. Listen to us. I hate it, man. I hate it. I don't like that Tencent has such a huge grip on the gaming industry in that regard. I also understand why they're doing it, and I also understand that it's dumb. But I also get why they're successful.
It's working. Yeah,
it's because it works. Exactly.
It's working because it's being allowed to work, and it's just the other thing with this is that the developers weren't appropriately communicating how dire their situation is to the players. The players will understand if you talk to them and say, "Hey, this is our last gambit. We have been invested in by Tencent, and if we do not deliver on our investment, this game that you guys love is gone. Like, we have to deliver something. We have to work on this, and we need this to work." And you, of course, take some insight from the players. But when they tried to do like an open discourse, or not really an open discourse, they had their PR team, their press team, doing a like town hall meeting in Discord. All it was them getting screamed at and yelled at by the players, and they were shaking. Like, they were streaming that, and they were visibly scared and shaking out of their minds because they didn't know how to like interact with or tell the players like what's going on. Instead, all they got was beratement, and they kind of handled that wrong. And my buddy had to step in and be like, "Y'all need to calm down," because this is like he ended up calming the server down a lot because he ended up telling them, "No, this is a situation they're in. They are circling the drain, and they need to fix this and make it better, or it's gone for good. And this is the situation. It is dire. You guys aren't helping with how you're acting. And of course, we need to get things fixed, but constantly just screaming at you suck does not fix anything." And that actually calmed down to where the guys could actually speak.
Yeah.
Like, in that server. And then they had ended up talking with him about like my buddy, they're like, wow, that actually helped calm the situation down and let them be able to talk during the what their town hall thing that they were doing. And they thanked him and asked him, so what are your ideas? And he had passed along like what I talked about with the deep desert weekly rotations. You can implement something simple and have it last for content. And then with it being a rotation, you can add in more things, or you can add in like multiple things at one time if you get enough assets, and still keep the game going without major changes. And you'll have something for the end game, because the leveling game is there. Right. Leveling game's on point. End game is gone. They killed it.
Yeah.
So
they're pretty much just like on their last leg here. Wouldn't you hate just being just like, we're in a dire situation? They're probably like their VP of public relations is probably just like, you can't tell them what's going on. They just need to understand that you're trying to fix things, trying to get things right. Like they're probably just told them like, yeah, they probably just like, don't tell them what's going on, just do this, and they're just like, okay. They go into it, and everybody is knives out, ready to kill them with their words. And some probably were like, if you were right in front of me, I would kill you. It's just just violence. They chose violence, and good thing your friends, good on your friend to seriously step in and be a shield for them. Say, hey, listen, these people are human beings. They understand the game is in dire straits. Their situation is really bad, and they're trying to get your ideas on how to fix it. Yelling at them is not going to fix the issue. And it's really good he went and be a shield for those people. Shout out to him.
No, he called them stupid too, because he called them out on, you guys have made stupid decisions, but we need to fix those.
Yeah.
And just berating about the stupid decisions, like we can criticize and say, these were the stupid decisions you made. Please fix them. My God, please fix them. Please fix them hard, because you are bleeding your player base and abusing your player base by doing this.
Exactly.
And
I'm saying calling them out on it is a good thing, but also being reasonable is the best thing to do in that situation. It's the best thing to be in that situation is reasonable. And also, if yelling, constructive criticism, it wins the day, not critiquing and insulting. So I get that. But seriously, good on your friend.
Putting down about it.
Yeah. Was there anything else here besides that?
That's what I wanted to bring up, was that big point of what happened, that they caved to the Zoomer mentality from social media and the backlash that they were getting from their player base. And that's what they made. And you immediately caught on. And it's like, I knew where this was going. You knew where this was going. How the hell did they not see where this was going?
That was so bad. I think, and it's a French company, right?
I cannot remember if it's a French company.
It's not Ubisoft, I know that, but it's not the developer. If they're not French, I know they're European, because I know when they developed Conan Exiles, I looked into them a little bit. I was going to say it's Saber Interactive. It's definitely not. I hope it's not Saber Interactive. Good Lord. Let me look it up. Actually, hold on.
Let me see here.
It is developer
Awakening
for Conan Exiles. Funcom. Okay, Funcom is where are they based out of?
Where are they based out of?
They're definitely not independent anymore, considering who their investor is.
5, Dune. All right, let's see what Funcom's at. Funcom Production AS.
It already sounds European. AS.
It does.
Let me see. We need to go all the way. We need to go back.
Company has offices in Oslo, Norway.
Okay.
North Carolina, U.S., Lisbon, Portugal. So I think it's a Nordic company.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so
yeah, it's a Nordic.
Norwegians
company.
are not handling it very well.
No.
Norway, you're great at making metal. You're not great at listening, taking good advice. Anyway,
Yeah.
God, you know, just thinking about this too, all the major game changes, the horrible, crappy games that come out, you know, the High Guards and the Reluteds and the Concords, and I heard Horizon Hunter's Gathering that got canceled actually, which is a good thing because nobody wants to see Diabetes McPegleg running around. So,
but yeah, that's the thing. They're not very good at handling confrontational issues, it seems.
yeah,
And that's the other thing that my friend and I do is we actually look at games, their development, how their player base is going, as well as what their stock portfolio looks like.
yeah,
And it's just like, wait, you look at a game company's stock portfolio, it's like, yes, that's going to tell you how much they're going to put into the game, how much they're going to care about certain games. Because when they report, say, like one of the things that, as bad as this game is, Elite Dangerous, I do like the game. I still play it today. Leaflet also said that she played it as well, and so does Ember Paradox. She still plays.
yep.
But
I'm on it
playing,
occasionally. Yeah,
yeah, but playing a game like that ended up teaching me a lot of patience for a very scuffed game, because that is an older game. It has a lot of scuff to it, a lot of bugs that were never patched out, and it was learning how to get the game to continue to work to play it, as well as it didn't hold your hand. You had no idea what the hell you're doing. The tutorials were wrong, the equipment descriptions were wrong, it needed a lot of work, but people would still figure it out and play it. Like older generation players, just like, it's a puzzle game, and you would figure it out and play it, and you're in space. And it's been around for over a decade now.
yeah,
But the thing with that is that looking at their stock portfolios, the game company Frontier also made the tycoon games like Roller Coaster Tycoon, Zoo Tycoon, and all of them. And looking at the grossing reports from their stock profile as to this game made this much money, this game made this much money, but we invested this much money. And we could see through the veneer of, okay, they're trying to say that they're making money when actually they are losing, where they're pigeonholing money into games to make it look like they're not losing money or they broke even. Jurassic World was the Jurassic Zoo World or whatever it was, barely made them any profit compared to the investment and the losses the company was already making. So they didn't even go from red to black. They were still in the red, and that was like one of their big things. When the Jurassic World movie came out, they made that game, and for all intents and purposes, flopped. Like it was a break-even success, which is not what they needed. They needed a boom. Then they tried to go into another franchise. They actually tried to make a Warhammer game, and then they were all in on betting on the Warhammer game. And it's just like, as much as Warhammer 40K is loved, it is still a niche title. It is still a niche genre. And they were banking in like they were going to make buku's bucks off of the game that they were making for it. That one flopped. And then they started making more and more flops. Like people, the tycoon games and the city builder games and the park builder games are niche games. People will sink hundreds upon hundreds of hours into them. But there's not that many people player-wise that will do that. And the ones that do it, it's a niche cornered market. And that's like the Civ 5 players are going to be the ones that play it. And people love that game. But compared to the people that play like Destiny or play World of Warcraft or play Call of Duty, they are nowhere near that player base.
no,
like in
not
number.
even. No, not even.
So
Okay, so I was looking into the game that you mentioned, the Warhammer game. It is Warhammer. It's not even 40K. It's their fantasy line. It's Age of Sigmar. So that's even gotten even more. That's even
Niche of a
that's an
niche.
even smaller player base than 40K.
Yes.
So that's you manage your expectations, guys. The
were
lesson
thinking
here
it
is
was- it
this:
says
manage your
Warhammer.
expectations.
Yeah. So to continue on with that,
Yeah.
they ended up looking at what happened with Star Citizen is the major competitor to Elite Dangerous and EVE Online. And EVE Online's kind of been disintegrating over time. They did get taken over by Tencent, I believe. And people are just kind of not satisfied with it. And they're just left with the old guard still playing. No real new players. The other ones is Star Citizen, which is still going pretty strong for all the intents and purposes as a beta access game still.
Yeah.
And,
it's still in beta after all these years.
Yes. 13 years still in beta. And
That's hilarious.
They're promising a 1.0. They keep promising a 1.0. I don't believe them, but whatever. If it ever comes out as an actual release game, I would play the game. But until then, I'm just staying away from the Whale Hunter game.
Yeah.
But people enjoy it. People play it. People have tried to scout me into playing that game all the time. And I'm just like, and my friends also play it. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. When they, stop punishing the players by wiping all the assets and making you pay for everything with actual cash to keep it in game, then I'll play the game. Like, I'll buy the game and play the game, not pay for a continual fucking car payment. My God. But,
exactly. Yeah.
So they looked at all of their game franchises and they looked at the poor abused stepchild of Elite Dangerous and go, people are still playing this game. We still have tens of thousands of players worldwide in this game. This is as much as we've abused this game, as much as this game has been kicked to the wayside, and we have done almost fuck all for this game. And the things we did implement into the game made it worse or were not implemented correctly. But players were still dealing with it and playing this game. And they're going, you know what? If we see the way that everybody is dissatisfied with Star Citizen, maybe we can claw the Star Citizen players back, the ones that left our game for them, and get new players into this game. So you know what? They decided to implement this Star Citizen style of ships being released, paying for things, stuff like that, which people that were the old guards of Elite Dangerous were like, oh no, we have to pay to win or pay to access these new ships or all this. It works. It's getting the money because they're not doing a permanent lockout where you have to spend cash to buy the brand new equipment. You can actually buy it early access or you can wait a couple months or a month and then they'll release it for everybody. But if you want to get ahead of the game, you can pay to get ahead of the game, but you don't have to.
Right.
And that is working. And they're actually revamping parts of the game. They have made it to where there's more new spaceships. They've made the game less abusive to the player. Because, my God, the game was grinding. There was so much they could have... There's so much that they could have done with that game that they never did. And it's like, this game shows promise, but just because it shows promise and nothing's done with it, that means it's not promising. And people are like, well, it's still promising. And they hold on to the candle in a snowstorm, thinking it'll keep them warm. And it's just like, that's not how that works. But okay. But now they finally see that franchise is keeping them afloat. And they finally wrenched it out of control of the guy that had that franchise on a deathbed, keeping it there like Munchausen syndrome for decades. And as much as like the guy that made it, it was great. Like David Braben, like he did a decent story lore, original game, stuff like that. But then when it came to the MMO, it was poorly implemented, poorly upkept, and had so many issues. But it had a fan base beforehand. It's like streaming now where you need to get all your player base and your viewer base elsewhere, and then you bring them into your streams. Like, that's what they did. And then they proceeded to abuse them, kind of like Hassan does to his group, and somehow he still gets people staying.
How people unfortunately, are watching, I don't know. How people are still watching him, I don't get it.
I know. But that's what ended up happening. And of course, they finally go, okay, they removed him as the CEO. They got somebody else in there. And he goes, this game is making money. This game will make us money. Look at what Star Citizen's doing. They are the most funded indie game in the fucking world ever at this point. Guinness Book of World Records level. Where they've made more money funding Star Citizen than what it took to make Witcher 3. Like, straight up. And they go, we can get that too, but we have to implement things similar to that. And when they did that, lo and behold, more players started coming in because there's new things to do. Old players started coming back because there's new things in game to interest them. And they also started respecting more of the players. They fixed bugs that were in game for over 7 years.
Yes. I remember some groundside bugs as well that ruined the experience for me. Those are gone. Those are for the most part gone. Yeah.
And they're also they added in a on foot aspect to a spaceship game, which is like, okay, why? And then they said, oh, well, you can play this game on foot only as a space. Like, it's a spaceship game. The job is to get the spaceship. Cool, getting out of your spaceship and walking around a planet. But what can you do? And then they just kind of left it at that.
Yeah.
And that was just a abysmal, empty paper bag without poop in it that was set on fire and then just handed to you. And it's like, what's the point of this?
Well, it's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Yeah. Yeah, I remember for the longest time, it was just like SRV only. And go do sabotage missions or like go steal this data. It's like, okay, then what? Can we go have like arena style games or like death matches or you know, control point games, things like that? Can we do bounty hunting? Can we be mercenaries? Dead silence for like years. And then then one day I saw a trailer of them talking about like, oh, here's new suits, and they had people walking in the trailer, and they're like, everyone was yelling, "Space legs, space legs! We have space legs! They're coming!" And then they actually did come, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, we can actually do these things that we kind of expected the first time around," you know, and it finally happened, and it's really funny that there's now starting to take an invested interest in the player base instead of just being like, let's go ahead and put our game out there and you guys have fun doing whatever. Oh, you can't unlock this even though you did all the stuff? That sucks. Anyway, have fun with this game. It's so funny. It's so funny. You get the right people in.
Now that they've got people in, this is a success story of how to revive a dying game versus the Dune one, where how to kill your life support game. And it's just like, the other thing that they're now doing is they're going to be having on foot conflict stuff that you can do, more actual on foot wars in space stations and settlement zones and stuff like that. Like specific, they have revamped the AI for ground warfare. They have redone the weapon damages. So it's no longer a brick wall shooting somebody with a shield with a kinetic weapon where you have to use laser. You can actually shoot through somebody's shield with a single magazine of kinetic bullets versus having to swap between lasers and plasma and all that. They increased the speed of the plasma shots to be a lot better, like 4 times faster. So it's not like you're lobbing wet tissues at people. And snipers are actually very dangerous now at all levels. The AI is actually more intuitive, so it feels like you are fighting. Where before they were on the rails, like you could go to a war zone on ground and they were on the rails. They had one path, and unless you broke their shield, they would ignore you until they got to their path destination, and then they would shoot at you. Now they maneuver, they find cover, they flank you, they react to you. More than 2 people in a squad see you, that squad will alert, and the whole squad will attack you.
They fleshed out the AI so hard now. It's so good.
They have,
and I am excited. It's called Operations, is what they're launching.
Yes,
they had to delay it, but I'm excited for that. I was thinking, like, man, wouldn't it be cool if you could do like on foot conflicts in space stations or in settlements and settlement zones? That I was literally thinking about that. It's like, man, they would make a killing it. And now I'm finding out, and then I hear that they're adding it. I literally only heard about it a few months, like maybe 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, where has this been all my life?
And then the other thing everybody was screaming about was being able to do ship interiors, and they just said, fuck you, you don't want ship interiors, as a poor excuse, instead of, well, the game engine won't let us. Because they were thinking, well, we can be obtuse about this and just be like, no, you guys are just stupid, instead of going, we would like to, we hear you, but the game engine is so old. The amount of effort it would take us years to do it. And unfortunately, we've got everybody working on everything else. We understand we'll work on it when we can. Instead, they just gave everybody the middle finger, whipped out their freaking penis and mushroom stamped. And it's just like, no, that's not how you treat your player base. And of course, they had people leave by the thousands and were questioning what happened. And then they were just like, well, fuck you. We don't need you anyway. And it's just like, that's not how you treat your players and stay a successful company.
Yeah. It's like, you guys like money, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you've got people willing to spend it, and they want to spend it on a franchise they love. But when the franchise they love treats them like shit, people will leave. Even with, Star Wars, as diehard as they are. Look what happened. People left. But
oh my gosh, Outlaws don't even get started on that.
I know. So they're actually, with the new director in there, are bringing it back, are listening, and the new ships have ramps that you can physically walk up and have it look like you might be able to go in them sometime soon. And they've revamped some of the old ship models to where their access points are, you can walk up them as a player, like regularly, where you might be able to go in them soon. So that might be something. Not saying they never said anything about it, but when they're revamping old ship models where like the little walk-up ramp or the elevator was not usable or looked like crap and it was just there and they never redesigned it, well, they've actually updated the older models, and the newer ships are made more like you can go in them. So
they're working. I think they're working on the implementation of actually working on that. So I see that. I can definitely see that. Going back just real quick, because I wanted to make the point here. When the old CEO had to resign, the new one stepped up, and he took a look at the market environment and what other people were doing. This is the lesson. Anybody who's watching, this is the lesson. Look up. Be the gamer that looks up, because that is what's going to get you to, that's what's going to make you successful if you look up and see what's going on around you. Instead of folk being so laser focused on your product, you need to see how your product is going to fit. You have to look. You have to look around. You have to look up. Gamers look up is basically what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So that's incredible. That is, I'm really glad that they're taking their game seriously again.
Finally.
Yeah, for real.
And now they actually have 40,000 players in game.
That is amazing.
That is COVID levels. Like, or just at 2019, 2020, that's when everybody hit, everybody play a space game or something like that. That's when their population in that game boomed. And that was when they were ignoring the game the most. And then they go, oh shit. And unfortunately, they dropped the ball on that when they implemented the new expansion. Because if they would have been able to implement that expansion during the COVID boom, people would have continued to play it and they would have had more people stay. But they didn't. They were actually on Beyond Live support, where the game developers weren't doing anything besides weekly maintenance. That's it. They wouldn't do any communications. They didn't do any in-game news stories. They didn't do any community events. And it was the community themselves that were doing community events. And that was the game. And then all of a sudden, everybody gets on the computer time, and they found this game, and it revitalized it, and they go, oh shit, and then they dropped the ball, and then they abused everybody and said that it's their fault that they dropped the ball. And it's just like, no, you could have kept more players from this boom if you would have, been more market dynamic and seen that, hey, I know we're coming out with a new Roller Coaster Tycoon 7 or whatever the hell it is we're working on, but we can make money right now with this player base that went from 15,000 to 48,000 in the span of 8 months. Like, we should work on this now.
Yes.
And they didn't do market flexibility on their development squads.
Oh my gosh.
And we saw that.
Yeah.
And now their CEO's gone and go, we can still do this. Like, we can, because people are looking for something. And this is a dedicated thing.
Yeah. I'm glad it's back on a growth track. Or a growth, what's the word I'm looking for? Trajectory.
It's on a growth trajectory now.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That is really sick. I'm really happy that Elite Dangerous is making a push upward, and the CEO decided to look up and So I was
2 to
going
3
on like,
months
hey,
they're
let's
having a
do
new
this.
expansion.
They are?
Yeah, this year it's coming out. The
Really?
the on foot the operations.
Yeah, Operations. Yeah, it's coming out
Yep.
next month. Yeah, that's it. Oh man, I'm so excited for that. With that, I think we can close this out with a couple of
Yep.
one-liners here. We should definitely do that. Let me find some. Let me find some real quick, and then we'll do that thing. Let me see. Let me see. What was a good? Oh, these action one-liners. Predator has some good ones.
Get to the chopper.
Get to the Chopper is a perfect one. Conan the Barbarian had one of the best ones.
Of course, because at the time Arnold Schwarzenegger could only speak one line of English.
He can only say Grom. No, this is one of the ones that people like is, what is best in life? It's like to crush your enemies, to see them driven before you, and the lamentation of the women. And they're like, yeah, all that stuff.
Yes.
That was a good one. What else? What else? Great film quotes. Surely you can't be. Oh my gosh, Airplane. Surely you can't be serious. I'm serious, and don't call me Shirley.
Surely you can't be serious. Yes, I'm serious, but don't call me Shirley.
Airplane. Oh, there's so many Airplane. Okay, I'm looking at it. Okay. It's going like
Rip Leslie Nielsen.
It's going off of like release date, year of release that these quotes are being. Let's see here. Christmas Story was garbage. A hot take. Field of Dreams was 1989. I did not know that.
If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, he will come. There it is. Wow, the line is he will come. I thought it was they will come. Well, what do you know?
Yep, if you build it, he will come. But with game industry, if you build it, they will come.
Absolutely. Christmas Vacation. Let's not do that one. That's a funny one. Let's not.
Oh yeah, he must have kept up for like the first mile or two, but after 5, I don't think he stood a chance. if you know that part of Lansing's Christmas Vacation.
Oh my gosh, I'm vaguely remember. I think I do. It's oh my gosh, that was fun.
The gas station part where they put the dog tied to the bumper while they're pumping gas and got
yes, that's it. That's so funny. It's so stupid. It's funny. Here we go. Here's a good one. I know we did the Duke Nukem one, but there's another one. I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, but I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice. Good line, Reed. Tell him, Ray. Kmart sucks. It's Rain Man.
Yeah. Shop smart. Shop S smart.
Shop S smart. That's funny. Qantas ever crashed? No, that's not it. It's more Rain Man. Can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Those are some good lines.
I've got the puppy here pawing me, wanting to go outside to walk, so if we can get some closing remarks in here.
My closing remark is Quangos are big gay. Big gay.
Definitely. They even make sure that everybody knows that that's their identity.
They are a Quango. It doesn't matter if they call themselves like whatever pronoun is in fashion right now. They're just a Quango. Okay? Yes. And they're big gay. Oh my gosh.
No, no,
Well,
no.
Devil, this has been a really fun episode tonight. I really do appreciate you and I just hanging out and just going over some things and especially getting your insight on the video gaming industry. I really think it comes with some form of expertise as far as like the receiving end of things. So, but you also
Yes.
know how to read the market too, and I think that's a very valuable skill. So yeah,
Yes.
really, thank you very much for hanging out tonight, especially on a special episode like this and a special
Mhm.
stream on my channels and everything like that. So I really do appreciate that.
It was
Where
definitely
can
fun to
people
be
find
here.
you if you want to get started on this?
Currently, I do have a social media account on X with DevilnRed, as well as I do have it on Kick and Rumble as well. I do have Twitch, but I don't plan on streaming there, so it's kind of a name holder place. And unfortunately, I am banned off YouTube because back in 2020, I questioned the validity of a certain disease and was subsequently uninvited. What was it? Cordially uninvited from ever returning. And then they go, "Oh, you can come back." And I go, "Why? I'm not a woman that will go back to an abusive husband. No, thank you."
There
So
you go. There you go. Good on you, man. Principles. One day, all you're going to have is left is principles. So best stick to them now. What was I going to say, guys? I'm Trauma Tuna. If you don't know where to find me yet, I can tell you right now. You can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Kick and Twitch. I stream as Trauma Tuna on both YouTube and Kick, and Trauma_Tuna on Twitch. I also have an account on Twitter. You will find me reposting a lot of base takes, as well as making fun of Quangos and posting my schedule. So, or at least posting a semblance of a schedule. But you can find everything there as well. Guys, thank you once again for all those who decided to watch here tonight while I was live streaming. Thank you once again for hanging out with us. You could have chosen anybody else to watch, and you decided to watch us tonight. So we greatly appreciate you for that. So with that, everyone, I hope you all have yourselves a great evening, and I want you all to be safe and have yourselves a great Saturday evening and or Sunday in this case, and have fun. All right. All right. All right. Well, Devil, thank you very much for joining us tonight. You have a good night. All right, brother?
thank you for having me. You have a good night too, and good night, everybody. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you. Bye-bye.